Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Buzz Book Expo. We are absolutely thrilled with the lineup that we have for today. We are going to be presenting some really cool stuff. We're really excited about it. We're just ironing out some little last minute details, making sure everybody's able to access the stream and everything like that. So just bear with us a couple minutes while we get all the little last minute details uh, ready to go. But in the meantime, I want to just do uh, a quick little explanation about Buzz Book Expo. If you're joining us for the first time today, I just want to tell you a little bit about what Buzz Book Expo does. We are essentially looking to bring writers and readers together for connecting the purposes of having publishers talk to us about what they have coming out in the next year or so in horror and dark fantasy, and being able to get that information and get all of those announcements out to readers, to other writers, librarians, podcasters, reviewers, booksellers, people who want that information. It's based on the Book Expo America, which I believe had to go online during COVID. And we thought, that there is representation for horror in these, in these expos, but there's not a lot of representation of the small press there. And we thought that the small press uh, really is bolstering and holding up horror in a lot of ways. And so we wanted to make sure that the small press got their chance to tell readers out there, to tell people who love horror books, what we're going to have. Now, I'm going to bring in our first presenters. We have Paul Goblers from Thunderstorm and Philip Fracassi. And first, I'm going to bring in Paul to talk to you a little bit about Thunderstorm, and we'll let him tell you all the cool things. Hi, Paul. How you doing?
Hello?
Hello. How is
How are you?
everything? Good. How are you? It's good to see you.
I am not getting sound right this second, so let
Uh-oh.
me
Okay,
see.
that's all right.
He has to. Oh god, he has to go into his.
All right, folks. We are going to. Paul's having a little bit of trouble with sound. We're going to try to figure out what the issue is, and we will be right back.
Okay. Um.
Okay, folks, we're going to give this another try. We should be all good. I'm going to bring in Paul from Thunderstorm. Can't hear you. We're working on sound issues, folks. Give us a few seconds. In the meantime, I'm just going to kind of riff here until we start to hear Paul talking again. Basically, we are, as I was saying, as far as Thunderstorm goes, and all these other presenters that we have here, we are looking to help them, reach a wider audience and help all these readers out here. I want to thank everybody, by the way. I see that there's a number of you in the stream today, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support, because it means a lot to us that you're out here and you're supporting what we're doing here, trying to bring writers and publishers and readers together and get them a wider audience. And it's exciting. We have all kinds of exciting stuff planned today. We have giveaways, and we have all kinds of exciting presentations. We have cool ads. We have just a really good day planned, and we're going to bounce out for another minute. We're just going to see if we can get Paul's sound going, and we will be back. Just hang with us. We will be there as soon as we can.
Okay. Call him and I'll see if I can walk him through something.
Hi, everyone. We're back. We really appreciate your patience. Thank you so much for giving us some time to fix some technical issues here. We may be sliding the schedule back by a few minutes just to make sure that everybody gets a good 20-minute slot. So just hang in there with us, and I'm going to bring Paul in. Hey there.
Hey, are we finally working?
Yes. We
All right.
can hear you.
Okay, so my first Thunderstorm book of 2023 is going to be How to Set Up Your Computer Mic.
No worries. I'm going to print this out. If you need anything, let us know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Here.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that delay. I'm officially old now because I turned 50 and I got my uniform in the mail the other day. So, my name's Paul Goblish. I run Thunderstorm Books. I have a special guest here today. Hopefully I can get him in. And I'm going to go real quick over some of the stuff. If you want to know about Thunderstorm, Buzz Book Expo 2020 went into a lot of depth of what I do and what, kind of everything about like the intro to the press, so to speak. So scroll back on the website, go back to 2020, and I'll let you guys watch that if this is the first time you've seen me. Other than that, I primarily specialize in signed limited edition hardcovers. I'm going to go over a couple books that's going on right now, and then we'll get our guest in here and we can ask him questions because he's the star of the show. So first off, I just released a little chapbook. We Came from an Island from Cynthia Paleo. This just came out. The hardcover sold out, but I do have paperback copies available. They're like $11, so if you want to pick up that would be great. I also have Submerged, Brian Keene. This is The Labyrinth Book 2. This just came out as well. I'll probably start shipping that at the end of this week. So if you bought book 1 and you want to collect the entire series, you want to make sure you got your order in for that. I got 2 pre-orders up. Road of Bones by Christopher Golden. I'm sure you've heard of this. I think a lot of people have heard of it. So if you're looking for a limited edition hardcover of it, signed by Christopher, this is now on the site as a pre-order. And then I also have another book coming out, The Horror Pleasant Brook by Kevin Lucia, who, if you tuned in yesterday, was representing Cemetery Dance. But his book is sold out already, but you might want to keep an eye out on the secondary market or through a bookseller. And the other one the main focus, Beneath a Pale Sky by Philip Fracassi. This is selling very well. Philip and I decided to extend the pre-order for a week so we could get him in on this. So he is the guest today. So if we can patch him in, I'll just let you guys do question and answers with Philip. Any questions for me, any questions for Philip, and we'll go from there. Like I said, this is available for order for another week. So you can go to thunderstormbooks.com, pick it up. Thanks for stopping in, Philip.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we got all the technical issues solved. Another fun part of turning 50.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right. Yeah. But it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Actually, this is the first time I've ever spoken with you. We're usually emailing,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's great to be here. I'm excited to chat about all things Thunderstorm.
So When Does It Shift by Jeff Word. So we're doing a pre-order period, so we're kind of looking at how many copies we sell during that pre-order. So once that happens, once I have that final count, which will be next Wednesday, I'll make the signature sheets up. That takes a week or two to get those signed and sent in, and then it's really up to my printer. My printer in 2022 is a little bit slower than what I would consider typical Thunderstorm. But if I get it in beginning October. I'm hoping it still hits this year. Maybe 8 weeks. I'm not 100% sure. It might slip into the end of December, something like that. But it should be. It's like the top thing. So as soon as I get a count, I'm gonna get those signature sheets printed, and then it's off to the races.
It looks. I haven't seen the real jacket you just held up. It looks amazing. That's. So
Oh yeah,
cool.
yeah. It actually looks. Some jackets look better in person, and some jackets look about the same
Yeah.
on the computer. I think it looks better in person. By the way, this is only the jacket. I just wrapped it around a fake book.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it looks great. I'm so excited to see the final version of the book. Tomislav did an amazing
Oh yeah,
job
the
with the
artist. And we do have a special surprise kind of at the end. So.
All right. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's, I can't. Oh, I can see questions, can't I? Or no? I can see. Look at the
It says
comments.
Philip must be one of the busiest writers in horror today. What is he currently working on?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cathonica. Yeah. So I just finished a screenplay that I wrote as a feature film that is based on my short story "Death, My Old Friend," which is the last story in Beneath the Pale Sky that Paul just held up. So I just wrapped that screenplay. Just turned it into the director and the producer. That's been announced through Deadline and other sources. So I just finished that, and then I'm now going to have a couple small short story projects I need to knock out that I've been commissioned for, and then I'm starting the new novel, which will be the second novel in my Nightfire deal. It's tentatively called Brothers. So I start working on that pretty much tomorrow morning. I hit the ground running on that, and I have to have that turned in early next year. So that'll be what I'm working on for the next several months, just getting that novel knocked out. About how long it's taken to reach this
Mr.
point.
Brian Keene.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, there were some writers who would say it is an overnight sort of thing, because there are some writers who have been doing this for a very long time. As far as publishing professionally, I have only been publishing professionally since 2015. But I have been a writer my whole life, and I spent years and years writing fiction, and I wrote 3 novels, and it wasn't until 2015 that I started writing horror that I started getting publishing opportunities. And yeah, I pretty much write, for a few years, for about 5 years, I was writing kind of part-time when I wasn't working in the film and TV industry, which is what I did for a day job. And then only the last about year or so, I've been writing full time. So hopefully I can continue to do that. But yeah, I'm at my desk 7 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, working. So it's a lot of hours that I put in, and it's a lot of work. But it's what I love. So no complaints at all. I just hope I can continue to do it. And yeah, am I changing the end of Death, My Old Friend? I'm changing a lot of things. The story as it stands is actually a pretty short story. I think it's only about 4,000 words. So it's a pretty succinct story. And obviously expanding that into a feature means, not taking the liberties as much as really just fleshing out the characters, putting them in different situations, creating more scenarios for these characters to interact in. For those who aren't familiar with the story, Death, My Old Friend is actually about a kid who grows up with death as his best friend, literally. So they go through kindergarten, through high school, through college, and through later life. So it's kind of a coming of age story, but one of the characters is death. So yeah, so I definitely had to expand the story for feature length. I won't say whether I changed the ending or not because that would be a spoiler for those who've read the story. But I will say that a lot has changed. There's a lot more depth to the characters. I get into their relationship a lot more, and I think it's a lot scarier. The version I wrote as a screenplay is a lot scarier, I think, than the story. So not necessarily jump scares and stuff like that, but I think I kind of added a lot of dark elements that were not in the original short. So it was really fun to write the screenplay, and it actually made me think I might consider writing it as a novel. So I don't know. I'll have to talk to the producer and stuff about that and see if they're okay with it. But now that I've fleshed it out to screenplay length, I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe I'll just do the whole thing as a novel. That'd be kind of fun. So we'll see. Thank you. Oh, so not really a question. I enjoy your Darkwood podcast. Yeah, thanks very much. Season 1 was great. We had some amazing guests. We have season 2 is launching, I think, in a couple weeks. I've recorded about, I think I recorded 6 out of my planned 10 guests. I may have a bonus guest or two. So that'll start late September and go, for the next couple months, 2 or 3 months after that into the holidays. Amazing lineup for next season. Josh Mallerman, I think, will be the first episode. And I talked to a lot of amazing writers. So including I think the last one I did is Chuck Wendig. So he'll be, I think, episode 6. So yeah, there's a lot of amazing writers for season 2. So if you guys are Dark Word fans, which you can get on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or Google or anywhere else you get podcasts, it's a show for writers. So it's all about writing and publishing and being a professional, and a lot of great advice from a lot of great writers. Have any of your stories been adapted to comics? Would you like to see a story as a comic? I would love to see a story as a comic. And I'll tell you, the problem with the comics is that artists rightfully need to be paid to do the work, and it's a lot of money to put up front. So it's kind of hard. It's not like a story or a novella where you can kind of get with another writer and maybe do something, and just kind of see how it goes. With the comics, you got to kind of get the artwork done simultaneously. So you have to have all that. You kind of have to have the upfront money on it. But yeah, there are some stories I would love to see adapted. I would love to see. I wrote a story called Mandala, and I would love to see that as a graphic novel, particularly, and also Harvest, which is in Beneath the Pale Sky, The Wheel. Those are all. I think I would like to do Dream Scenario. If there's any comic book publishers watching, I would love to do like a 4-story graphic novel where like kind of like a creep show kind of thing. I think that would be a lot of fun. Are we getting a Sabbath novel or collection? Oh, Jeff, you love. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I have like the next 3 novels planned, and I have a story collection already set to come out, which I haven't announced yet, but a new story collection next year. So I guess I just did announce it, but yeah, I would love to do a Sabbath book at some point. It's for those who don't know, I wrote a couple short stories based in the town of Sabbath. Actually, I think I wrote 3 or 4. Soda Jerk, which is in Beneath the Pale Sky, again pointing to Paul's booking it with Paul. Also, I did a novella called Commodore, which came out from Strange Eons Press, which is available on Amazon in paperback and hardcover. That's also set in the town of Sabbath. So yeah, it's kind of a kooky town, and I would love to do more stories in that town, and potentially a novel. I'd have to figure that out. Great job with Gothic. Do you ever intend to follow up on that story? No, I think Gothic is going to be a standalone thing. Never say never. I could see the desk getting into some other hijinks, potentially down the road. But I would love to see that novel as a screenplay, as a feature. That would be a lot of fun. I think it would be a kind of a wild movie, like a sort of. I'd like to see Sam Raimi take a shot at gothic dream scenarios. So, but no, not another novel. I don't think. Maybe a short story. Maybe. Steven, hey man, great to see you. Any new sign limiteds on the horizon? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Paul, you let me know when you want to jump in with that.
There
So
we
you
go.
can see it?
It's an envelope with the contract in it signed. I haven't opened it yet. I hope it's signed. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's so Flip and I are gonna do as a follow up to Pale Beneath the Sky. We're gonna do Beneath the Sky. I'm sorry. We're going to do Behold the Void. The collection Behold the Void.
I brought a prop.
All right.
This is the trade paperback edition, which is out from Leffy Press.
So that was our surprise for the day. So that's the perfect question. So that will probably be in early 2023, I would say. I mean, we've already started discussing like cover ideas. We're gonna bring Tomislav, I think his last name Talukin. I'm not sure. Takulin, something like that. It's a tough one to pronounce. But he's an amazing artist. Yeah, right. So he's an amazing artist, and we really like what he did with the Pale Sky cover. So, like I said, we're already bouncing ideas off on the cover, and since it's already written, it's pretty much get the cover going and start getting some of the design elements in place. So we'll probably kind of match it up to the first book. So if you're interested in one, maybe you can, kind of has a companion 2-book set in a way. And we'll probably just go with the first one will just match up to the second. So we won't have to have such a long pre-order period to get it rolling.
Yeah, so it'll be the same size and everything as Beneath the
Right.
Pale Sky, right? Yeah,
Correct.
that's cool, and the same artist. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think for Beneath the Pale Sky, I wanted to do something unique for the deluxe edition, so I did story notes. Oh yeah, Jeff, I was about to. Yeah, good question. I was gonna, which are not in the trade edition of Beneath the Pale Sky. I do have story notes already in this edition of Behold the Void, but I don't know, Paul. We'll talk about it, but maybe I'll do like an afterword or something like that to kind of make it like a something unique, some unique content for the deluxe edition of Behold the Void. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That way, if you have, and the other thing that's nice about the 2 books that Paul is doing with me is they were never released. I mean, they were never released really as hardcovers. The first book, or Behold the Void, this was originally released by Journal Stone, and they did do a hardcover, but that edition went out of print so fast that I don't think there's very many out there, and whatever ones are out there are long out of print. So it'd be nice for people who like the story collections. Not only we have a deluxe edition, but you have it's a nice hardcover edition, which hasn't been available to date. So I think that makes me happy that we'll have nice hardcover editions of those story collections. So,
well, it's been a pleasure to work with you on these two books. So,
thank you. Yeah, you too. I love. Yeah, if you guys haven't purchased any Thunderstorm books, I know they're hard to get your hands on because they go fast, but Paul's been wonderful to work with. I love his press, so I'm very excited to do this, and hopefully we can do more in the future too. It'd be great.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hi guys, we have one more question.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop it up here. The new collection coming next year, will that one get a Thunderstorm edition too?
Well, we haven't discussed it, Paul and I. So I'm springing the news on him like I am everyone else. But yeah, no, we'll talk about it. It's gonna come out next. It's coming out next October. It's called No One Is Safe. And so so I'm excited to get that book out, and we're already working on the cover art for it. And the only reason I'm being vague about it is because the publisher hasn't announced it yet. So,
Right.
so I'll wait till the publisher make the official announcement. But but a new collection coming next year, and maybe I don't know. Paul and I will talk. We'll see. You never know.
Great. We have one more question we're going to squeeze in. Any chance of any of your earlier hard to find works going to get reissued by someone in the future?
Is that for me or for Paul? For Paul, I'm assuming that.
I think that's for you, Philip.
I think it's for you.
Yeah, I think everything that I have published has been reprinted. The earlier chapbooks, Altar and Mother, are both in Behold the Void. Fragile Dreams and Death, My Old Friend were originally in a little chapbook, but those got reprinted in Beneath the Pale Sky. So I think everything I have put out, Saculina was reprinted by Lucky Press. So I think everything I have put out early on has been reprinted now. So I don't think anything I have is completely out of print, unless I'm forgetting something. I'm pretty sure everything is available. Yeah, which is wildly possible. Believe me, it's 2 more cups of coffee and I will not forget anything.
I hear you. Well, I want to thank you both so much for doing the expo this year. It's really great. Really cool stuff in the pipeline there. I'm really excited. It sounds great.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary, and Summer and Matt in the background. I really appreciate Matt getting me up. I thought I was going to have to cancel, and Matt saved the day. So,
Dun, 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 dun.
And thank you for agreeing to come on an early Sunday morning, because we're both West Coasters, so it's like 8 in the morning. So
Oh,
I
God.
haven't gone to bed yet.
that's what I should have done. That's what I should have
I
done.
just figured I would just stay up. That'd be a lot easier than having to actually go to sleep and get up again. So no, I'm joking. No, it's fine. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for having me as well, and Paul, thank you so much. And I really appreciate the time.
Oh, absolutely. You're always welcome back.
All right.
All right. Take
Cool.
care, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Give us about 5 minutes, and then we're going to get Kaylee in here to talk about Happy Goat Horror. We're very excited. Hi. 5 minutes. I thought, well, why make her wait,
Here, eagerly waiting.
How you doing, Kaylee? Thank you for being patient with our technical difficulties. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's okay. You never know when the tech gods will smite us. So
Exactly. Well, we're delighted to have you. I'm not going to take up any of your time. If you need anything, I'll be around. So just holler.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Okay, thanks, Mary. Yeah, thank you to Buzz Book Expo for having me here. I actually feel like a bit of an imposter, like I've infiltrated this group. I'm not worthy, is what I'm saying. I'm Kaylee. I run a website called Happy Goat Horror. It's basically brand new. I think we've been up about 6 or 7 weeks. We launched 1st of August this year. On the website, I'm known as Goat Leader, and we have a couple of reviewers that will have goat aliases. So there's Jolly Goat, Angry Goat, and we all sort of have different preferences and review different things. So basically the website is for anything that comes under the horror umbrella. So from your quiet horror that like barely even kind of sneaks into the horror genre, all the way up to absolute blood, guts, carnage kind of horror. If you have it, we will review it. Before I go on, I'm really nervous live, so please forgive me if you see me looking down, because I had to make notes so that I don't just ramble off into oblivion. And yesterday I made friends with a couple of people in the chat, and then had a hilarious Instagram conversation with someone who was very concerned that I'm ill because of how pale I am. And I just want to reassure anyone that might be thinking that I'm not sick, I'm just British, and this is my general ghostly pal. Okay, so who are we for? Who's Happy Goat for? Obviously horror fans, but I wanted to create sort of a space for horror creators, so writers, artists, podcasters, filmmakers, anyone really that creates any sort of horror content. I wanted to give um, like another platform to sort of promote your work and everything. So if you have books or films or even YouTube channels as well, we've had a few people that run horror YouTube channels reach out to us. So we'll do reviews, feature pieces, artist interviews, promotional pieces if you have new books coming out or anything new to release, new covers, your book's been released in another language, like anything that we can promote for you. We will. You just need to contact us. You can find all the information on the website, happygoathorror.com. And we're also on Instagram and Facebook as well, so you can reach out to us there. Obviously, everything we do is for free. We don't charge for anything. So bear with us if there's a bit of my TBR pile is like, I started the website thinking I was just giving myself a space to enthuse endlessly about books and films and stuff that I love. And surprisingly, it is kind of taking off. And the review requests we've had for books is already, I think we've got a few months worth of review requests there. So, but we are barreling through those as quickly as humanly possible. I'm just looking down at my notes. I haven't lost my train of thought or anything. Okay, yeah, so my background. I feel a bit uncomfortable talking about myself. It feels really self-involved, but that is what promoting things is about. So yeah, so I started off with Ginger Nuts of Horror, writing book reviews and sometimes articles on there. I love that website. It sort of gave me my first horror home. Like I had no idea like that there was an indie horror community years ago. And then I also wrote articles for a website called Spooky Isles. It's all British horror stuff there. So I'd write things like, 10 fun facts you might not know about American Werewolf in London or whatever. And I've written for Machine Mean as well a few times. And I thought, well, since I'm sort of just endlessly writing things and I always write reviews of books I read anyway, I may as well put it all in one place on my own site. And then I can sort of like pick what I want to work on. Yeah, as I said, I wasn't expecting it to take off in any real way, so I've been surprised. I just basically want to promote as much indie horror as possible. Like the horror community, I know people say it's a family, but it really is a family, and I sincerely feel so privileged to be a part of it and amongst everyone. I think everyone knows what I mean when you say like the indie horror community is much bigger than you think, but also much smaller than you think. Like we all kind of know each other. Coming from the UK, any sort of indie UK writer you can think of, I may well have met at a convention. So it's kind of nice being able to do something to sort of promote and support the work of other people. The thing that kind of inspired me to start all this in the first place was literally reading books by indie authors and then feeling absolutely enraged that they weren't full-time authors, like making a full-time living from what they do. Because when you read a book and you're like, why is everybody not talking about this book? Why is everyone not reading this author? So I would just be online typing away, usually in the Books of Horror Facebook group. So yeah, anytime someone's like, oh, I need a recommendation for this, I'm like, I have just the book. And then I talk forever and ever and ever about a great indie writer that no one is reading for some reason. There's a writer in particular that inspired all of this, who has no idea that I would bring him up here, but his name is Kit Power. I don't think he's known in the US at all. And it just grieves me. Like everyone should be reading his books. Like I met him at a convention this year and then embarrassed myself by fangirling. I took all of his books over and I was like, hey Kit, can you please sign all of these? And he was like, I've never had someone come up to me with every single book I've done, ask them to sign. So yeah, so Happy Go is really about that. It's just about doing whatever I can to just spread the word about awesome horror content. It's not a job. I think I'm putting about 20 to 30 hours into Happy Goat right now. I've got so many projects going. We're collaborating with artists. Podcasters also. We'll have loads of stuff coming. At the moment, it's mostly just book reviews, but we are building a YouTube channel, and we're still working on building our social media. As I say, I didn't think I was going to have much in the way of traffic, so I've been trying to get that up quickly to keep up. What else did I want to talk to you fine folk about? Oh yeah, giveaway. I have a giveaway. If you would like to win this cute little Baphomet, we have a little competition going on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, if you follow the page and then just comment on the appropriate post, you'll see which post it is. It's the last one there. Just let us know you'd like him, then we'll enter you into the draw. And on Instagram, if you follow us on Instagram and then share the appropriate post and be sure to tag us in it, then you're entered in for the draw. This was made by my very lovely and supportive mum, who I didn't ask her for this. I turned up at her house and she was like, hey, I made something that you can give away on Happy Goat. I thought that was so sweet. So we've dubbed her Mummy Goat now. I always trying to think of a new giveaway. I'm trying to do something every other month. Last time we gave away 20 to £25 worth of books of your choice, so we'll probably run another one of those in December. Okay. Oh, so yeah, sorry, I'm so nervous. I keep just forgetting what I wanted to talk to you guys about. The name Happy Goat Horror, this was sort of inspired by my my little niece. You won't be able to see it properly, sorry, it's going to be upside down because I'm on camera, but I have a horror themed sleeve, and I have Black Phillip, who's upside down right now, from The Witch here. And my niece is 6, and she was looking at my tattoo, and she was like gripping my arm with her teeny little hands. And I said, "Hey, what do you think, Connie? Do you like the tattoo?" And she just very matter-of-factly said, "No, I don't, except for the Happy Goat." And I was like, "What a great name for the website! That's definitely what I'm going to name the website." So, yeah, when Connie gets older, I'll have to tell her that she was sort of the impetus of all of this. Okay, so I'm now going to talk a little bit, since I am, a website that promotes horror stuff. I do want to actually talk a little bit about the books of Kit Power, because I just feel like I'd be doing him a disservice if I don't mention him. Just like a quick little tagline for each thing. So this is a short story collection called Voices, released by Black Shuck Books. I don't know if they're known in the US either, but they're amazing. So this is a book of like sort of short fiction and microfiction, and it's all like it's themed, or all the stories have something in common. This is Breaking Point, four short stories that are connected by the fact that they're each about a person who has reached their breaking point. God Bomb, kind of a controversial book, but it's excellent. This was his debut novel. It's about a guy who walks into a church strapped with a bomb and demands to speak to God, otherwise he's going to set the bombs off. This goes in some weird directions. It was great. The Finite is post-apocalyptic savagery at its finest. And then A Song for the End is about a guy who's in a band. They release a song. It goes viral, but unfortunately, everyone who listens to the song is affected in weird and adverse ways. I just wanted to fangirl a little bit and sort of put those out there. I know that most of those are available on Amazon if anyone did want to check them out or check out Kit Power. I did write a little bit to speak about some of the people that are part of this expo, and also people that are in the chat, but I feel like that's going to come across like really weirdly if I start just endlessly enthusing about like the works of Stephen Kosniewski, for example. But yeah, I'm a really big fan of all of these presses. Everyone that's been speaking during the expo so far, and I can't believe that I'm here amongst you, so thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm really, really nervous. I thought it might go away in the first 5 minutes. If anyone has questions, that'd be great.
I'm just popping in to say, don't be nervous. You're doing a fantastic job, both yesterday and today. It's
Thank you, Mary.
very awesome. I kind of have a question. I'm not sure how to word it right to get across what I'm kind of asking, but what are, I guess, some of the difficulties? Because I'm assuming that most of the markets, or at least when you start out, most of the markets are UK markets that you're working with, that you're seeing books. Is it hard to transition and get business across the pond in America and do? Like, what are some of the challenges, I guess, in trying to, I guess, get books out and get reading out in both places?
Weirdly enough, a lot of the review requests I've had for books and comic books especially have been by people from the US. So I've had people posting physical copies out from the US. So yeah, obviously physical copies get priority straight away, especially if someone is going to cost someone money to send something to us. So we always make sure that that goes straight to the top of the pile. I suppose how do I phrase this? So when I go to UK horror conventions and I start talking about US horror authors, there are a couple that like everybody, like Brian Keene, for example, like you say his name to anyone and everyone's like, oh yeah, of course, yes, Brian Keene. And then when you, yeah, so but then there are other authors where I was talking about Summer Cannon's Your Mine. I've been talking about that for like a month straight, and people were like, oh, who's Summer Cannon? And I was like, who's Summer Cannon? Are you seriously? So like, I think because both places have like their own sort of like, you know, separate horror awards and things like that. I'm kind of trying to like bridge a gap, I guess, a little bit, because I work with Stephen Kozniewski. I've got to know like a lot more US based horror authors that I'd never heard of, and now it seems weird to me that I could have not heard of them because the internet exists and people post about them all over Facebook and stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to create like a mix of reviews. So if we post a review by a UK author one week, I'm really trying to post next week's review by someone from the US. So I'm just trying to like spread the word a bit that way as well. And I'm hoping to get more review requests from I don't mean this in a bad way about straight white dudes, because I love your work, big fan, but I'm hoping to get more work by like a more diverse range of creators in, so that I can promote that, because as a UK based white person from a tiny Welsh town, for years I just wasn't exposed to work by people that weren't Stephen King, basically. Stephen King, Dean Koontz, like, you know, like all of like the big hitter, like people, the words, people published by major presses, and it is getting a bit better now. But I think the indie horror is where diversity is really starting to be pushed a lot more. So yeah, if anyone has work that they want to send me, please send it my way. I'll prioritize it, because because we're the we're in this oh god, I'm so sorry. Yeah, because we're in this event together, I'll pop all of your stuff to the top of the top of the pile. But yeah, if you a question, what content do you have planned for your YouTube channel? Oh, that's a great question. Thank you, Alexa. So we're going to be doing some book reviews on the YouTube channel, but we also want to review indie films and indie horror games on there. So there is a new goat joining the team. We'll call him Gamer Goat. So we're going to be doing those together. I'm really looking forward to having some video content up. I need to practice more, obviously, so that I'm not just, talking rubbish for an hour at a time or whatever. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting that up and running. I've just been trying to get some equilibrium going with like with all the website backlog before we start doing that, because I want to make sure we're posting consistently. Yeah, so not a question. Oh wow, Brian, he's going to be so pleased. I'm going to tell him that you said that. Yeah, he is fantastic. Yeah, he's going to be pleased to have that kind of feedback from someone like you. Who would be the holy grail to work with? Oh, I think Adam Neville, I think anyone that has already seen my content knows I'm completely obsessed with Adam Neville. I don't know how well known he is in the US. Probably a bit more well known than some other indie authors because he was traditionally published, and then he, if I'm not mistaken, he dropped his publisher and he went indie instead, and set up his own press. And he's had some of his books, like The Ritual, have been adapted into film and stuff. And he's a great person. I've met him a couple of times, and he's very very nice person as well. So I would love to work with him on anything, basically. But there's also a writer, a UK-based writer called Tracy Fahey, who is amazing. Her work is so incredible, and she's another one that I'm going to be trying to push a lot because not enough people are reading her work. Stephen Graham Jones also, Paul Tremblay, Mary, your Thrall was actually the first indie book I ever bought. So yeah, I can imagine. This is why I'm so nervous to be here, because I'm fans of everyone here. So this is like walking backstage into a convention full of people that I'm obsessed with. Just sitting down. Hey, I'm just joining your table now. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about all I have to tell you. Otherwise, I'm just gonna sit here going, yeah.
Oh, yay! Oh, that's awesome. Anybody have any final questions for Kaylee? Get them in now, and we'll pop them up on the screen. I know there's like a second or two between when I say something and when it gets out there into the universe. But if you have any questions for Kaylee, let us know. You did a fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you. I'm sorry for my nerves, and thanks everyone for being so kind and patient with me while I ramble through my presentation.
No, you were great. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we're about. Any final questions? I think we're good. Well, thank you so much, Kaylee.
Thank you for having me.
Oh wait, we have one question from Brian. Hold on.
I'm having a slight reaction to the fact that Brian Keane is speaking directly to me right now, like staring directly into the sun. I will not apologize for Stephen. I think he's great. No, just slip in. Look, you'll need to be reading Stephen if you're not reading his book. So get on that immediately.
It's a much better answer than there is no apology for Kazunuski. He just does what he does.
You have a happy goat Twitter. We are not on Twitter currently, mostly because of my aversion to Twitter. I'm not very good with technology, as you may have guessed. So I'm still working my way around. So at the moment, it's just Facebook and Instagram, but we are planning to expand a little bit on that.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks again. Thanks for being in the expo. This was great.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mary.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, just give us a few minutes. We are lining up the next guest, and we will be back to show you more awesomeness. So hang with us. Hi, everyone. Just letting you know we have a slight schedule change. We are going to run a pre-recorded Apocrypha. They agreed to join us for the expo and are going to be talking about blackout poetry. And at 1 o'clock, we will pick up with Madness Heart Press. So 12:30, we have Bleeding Edge Books. Madness Heart Press is going to join us at 1 o'clock. So we're just letting you know there's a slight change in the schedule. Just hang in there, and we will be back with you in a moment.
Hi, everybody. Photographer, and I'm with Jessica McHugh, and we're here to talk books and poetry and whatever else comes to our mind.
Yay! It's always a good day.
It is. So let's start with poetry, right? Let's see. We've got the first one, which we've done a couple years ago. We talked about. If I find the camera, complex, and then last year, based off of The Secret Garden, we had Strange Nests. Both of which, by the way, are Bram Stoker nominated collections because they are amazing. And they are, for those of you who have not heard previously, they are blackout poetry. And so is a page from a book that has been artified into a poem. So Jess, could you talk a little bit about that and sort of process? And
Yeah, absolutely. Blackout poetry, as you said, is taking an existing page of prose, or I always say like a VCR manual or a magazine, whatever you find, and finding a hidden poem within it. And or sometimes it also sounds a little bit like flash fiction. You can find little kind of cute stories and stuff within stories, and then you're using art or collage, or you can draw, you can do cutout and all kinds of fun stuff and create a piece of art to almost display the personality of the poem, as I like to say.
That's cool. And that's one thing that's been fun about both of these, right? Is like there's a lot of like incoherent cohesion between them, right? It's like you got on a theme by accidental, and then on Nests, it was a very purposeful theme that sort of worked through those paths. And they've both been fantastic. So as tradition, where's my thing? We are going to do some live action blackout poetry as we are working together. We've got, I have, let's see, Poet and Writers magazine. This is the one I've had every year. So I didn't want to break tradition from that.
Actually, I think last year I did like a Hitchcock like short story collection thing that I had found, and so this one I grabbed the Bell Jar by old Sylvie.
Oh, there you go.
Old happy-go-lucky Sylvie, and see if we can find something. Usually can find some pretty fun things in this one.
Find some interesting things for sure.
Yeah.
So first collection was based off Frankenstein. Second collection was based off of Secret Garden. Is there going to be a third collection?
There is indeed. And probably much larger than both collections put together. Yeah, the third collection is inspired by Little Women, and it is called The Quiet Ways I Destroy You. It's fun. It's because next year is the 155th anniversary of the first publication of Little Women. I almost need a breath before I say it because it's already been such an undertaking. I will be making 155 blackout poems. It is already, yeah, it's already been quite an undertaking. I think I'm up to 65.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a third of the way through. I know.
Okay.
And I'm in part 2. So part 1 alone had 44 poems in it, and I was kind of like, oh, at least I'm on to part 2, and that's going to be much, part 2, like 60 poems in it. So.
Right.
And this collection is definitely, I'm using 4 different copies of Little Women to create it. So to say that it is expansive and a little out there and a bit of a Frankenstein kind of thing of its own. It's going to be very very out there. I'm kind of looking for some cosmic horror vibes, and it's definitely very feminist and all about sisterhood and empowerment, and also a little murder.
Nice. Nice. Which I do believe is actually the plot of Little Women, Cosmic Horror, Little Murder, Sisterhood.
A little murder. Yeah, just a little
A
murder.
little.
That was the original title, not Little Women, Little Murder.
The so you said you're using 4 different editions of that. Is that why is that? So why did you end up with 4 as opposed to just ripping one apart?
The original copy of Little Women I picked up that I just kind of had on my shelf already to do blackout poetry from one day. I got it from our local used bookstore. And sometimes with the books you pick up, you know, the pages, the ink, it's not great. And you know, blackout poetry is pretty forgiving as far as like if you make a mistake, you can kind of hide it or fix it pretty easily. When you're finding the poem though, and you have to erase stuff, you can't put ink back in a page once you've like erased the ink out of it. So the first edition I was using was very much like that. I had taken it on, I started making the first ones like at the beginning of last, or was it this year? I think it was the beginning of this year. And I made a few poems, and I was like, man, this is just like, these poems are turning out great, but it's just not working.
Right.
Yeah, even after having them in the book for a little, like the pencil was wearing away, and it was just like they were not good. So I did bring it out one day. I was working on it at one of my favorite bars, and my friend Kayla, who actually provided the copy of The Secret Garden that I used for Strange Nest, she was like, she met me at the bar, and she had no idea that I was working on Little Women, and she's like, oh, I have a book for you. And she gives me this copy of Little Women, which is it's a really great copy. And it's got like really cool pictures and stuff in it. Weird pictures too. But this, when she gave me this, I was like, okay, here's the one. Here's the one I want to use. So it's already, you can see how thin she is. She is on a diet. But the thing was, I wanted to try to recreate some of the poems that I had made in the bad edition, you know. So I started looking for other editions where I could, you know. So I picked up this one, and I have another one as well that's kind of like a big abridged children's version. And I tried to recreate them, but nothing fell on the right page. Just the spacing and everything, it just didn't work out. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to use lots of different editions. So in the case of ones where it was the old book where stuff was just fading and not looking great, I've cut out lines from other books and made collages so you can see the original line and the new lines, and kind of just playing with that, and making big old masterpieces. I hope so. At least they feel like it. They feel like it when I'm piecing them together. So yeah, so that's basically why I started doing it. Also, it did not escape me that there are, you know, four March girls, Marmy not included. So we have 4 different books to choose from.
That also works out really well.
Yeah.
So do you have a spoiler for some of us? Do you have a couple pieces you'd like to show off?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I don't know if you're going to be able to. I should have brought them out, the actual physical ones. I wonder how well they're going to show up on here. Probably not very. I could read some.
Go for it. That's also a spoiler, so yeah.
Yeah. I could read some. I don't have any of the copies in here. They are tucked away, very safe in my writing hut.
Good. We will need them.
They get expansive and are large and in charge. So I'm trying not to touch them and remove them very often. Some of them, like, I had to pull out a special storage box.
Mm-hmm.
I know. You're really excited about this, aren't you?
I'm very excited about this. Well, I think that's a part of it, right? Like, it's not just simply like, oh, let's just make a book with words in it, right? There's this other aspect, which
Mhm.
yes, may be frustrating at times. Thank you, but is also like very interesting, right? Like, it makes it just a much more interesting thing to make, to read, to have. So
Yeah, I think this one is going to be a, a lot of fun for people,
yeah,
especially because Little Women is already such a classic feminist piece of art, that I think that the kind of darker turns to it is going to be going to tickle a lot of people. So
well, go for it.
yeah, I'm going to read a couple here. These are actually the four last poems at the start of part one. So just to give you a little kind of description of where this collection is kind of headed, part one is very much about, it's all in first person. It's all one person's experience, although it represents, I think, a lot of different women. And second part, we're now bringing in, it's becoming looking out and being like, oh, there's my sister, there's my friend, there's my mother, and we are, we're united by our pain and our rage. So this is going into part two. Make her forget. Oh, I just skipped past it. Make her forget. Flesh stretched over the wreck I am, to renew the fire of a creature haunted by thoughts too deep for tears. Fashion. I flower, as attractive and offending as womanhood, the natural scandal. Vines in summer. I'm not nice and tidy. I am 4 kittens in a bag, clamoring over kin to eat the silence.
That's fantastic.
That was one of the first ones I found. I was like, yep, we're going with it. We're going right in. And yep, this is the last one of part one. Dolls. With a queer mixture of fun and fear, I arose abundant, one beauty becoming many. Yeah, I don't know if it's, can we show it? Okay, there's one of them. One beauty becoming many.
Fantastic.
I think
And
it's a very fun one. I think there are going to be just a lot of parts where people are going to be like, "Girl, yes."
Nice.
Like, that's my new motto. I definitely am. I am 4 kittens in a bag. I know that.
right. And that will be part of her professional bio from now on as well. And that's great.
My Twitter bio.
Right. And we are planning on this collection coming out in April for Poetry Month. And so that is the plan, and we will deviate from it as necessary.
I keep trying to do the math. I'm like, okay, I've hit this. I have this many months left. I have to. I basically, I think I figured out is I have to make 6 poems a week, something like that, 5 to 6 poems a week to be done by mid-January, late January, something, so we can like scan and take photos and do all that fun stuff. So
right.
We shall see.
There's plenty of time. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I am working hard for y'all though, I promise. Right.
And half the poets listening were like, six poems a week, and the other half were going 6 poems a week.
And most of them are already written.
Yeah.
So I think I'm missing like 5 or so, which I'm kind of saving till I finish like kind of all the art and then see where I'm kind of missing connective tissue. So we'll see. That's the plan anyway. I think this is probably, I mean, even though Strange Nests I feel was somewhat, once I decided to do it, it was planned, but it certainly was unplanned as far as, I did not know that I was going to be inspired in that way. So I think this one is an interesting, it's the first real one where I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm making this many, this is the order, this is the so I wouldn't be surprised if some weird accident comes along. It just disrupts everything. That seems to be the way of things.
Of course. So let's move on. I want to talk about something way more recent.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the
Woo! Rabbits.
Let's talk about this one.
Yes, Rabbits in the
By-
Garden. It is a late 1950s madhouse horror novel, as I like to call it. It was previously published in 2011. It has been out of print for several years, and I was very, very grateful and lucky that Ghoulish Books, which is an imprint of Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, decided to give it another shot out in the garden.
Awesome.
And, yep, it's all about a 12 to 13-year-old girl who is accused of murder. And she is incarcerated in Taunton Lunatic Asylum, as it was called at that time. And it kind of about her struggle to prove her innocence, or is she innocent?
But that's what we like. And when is this one going to be available?
It is going to be available September 13th, which is tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, or a couple days ago for those of you watching it now.
Yeah. It is now available.
Now available. So go get this one.
Yep.
So that you are ready.
Yes, the sequel, Hares in the Hedgerow, which has never been published before, is coming out on November 15th this year, which happens to be my 40th birthday. So this one takes place 15 years after Rabbits. It's a 1975 cult horror novel. All of these, while they are related, I feel like all the books feel very different. They have kind of a different theme. This one is quite a departure from Rabbits in the Garden. For one, it's much longer, and it's just a lot more comprehensive. I feel like not trying to dissuade anyone from buying Rabbits, of course, but I did write this book, writing Hares in the Hedgerow, as if no one was going to publish Rabbits again. So you probably could get away with just reading Hares, but I think that you would want a lot of the background info that's in Rabbits. And this is part of what is now called the Gardening Guidebooks trilogy. So that
Is
means,
that a spoiler? Does
yeah,
that mean
there will be a third one a coming sometime. And all I can tell you about that one is it probably will have some kind of rabbit pun in the title.
Keep your eyes out for that, everybody.
Yeah.
This is your current homework, because this will be your future homework.
Yeah.
I can figure out where them. There you go. Awesome. So upcoming from us at Apocrypha, we are putting together a collection of nonfiction. So Jesus Gonzalez had put together several articles for Lamplight during the first 2 years about the history of the genre, specifically looking at names of people who were very influential and maybe sort of forgotten as we go through time. So not just Dracula and Frankenstein and some of the bigger names, but like who inspired those? Who were the groundbreaking people that got to a place where we have Dracula, right? And the article series was called Shadows in the Attic. And we are going to be publishing all those as a collection. We're going to be including several pieces from older magazines that Jesus had written from as far back as the late 90s. And a couple pieces that we found, thankfully, that were unpublished. And so Shadows in the Attic, Jesus Gonzalez's unfinished history of horror, will be coming out. And it is going to be coming with a companion anthology. So I'm going to put together an anthology of short stories that are all called out in the longer piece. And they will be working together as sort of a, as a lecture and your homework. So that will be coming out again. probably aiming for, again, the same amount of time. So sometime in the April timeframe, and looking forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it. This is something that Jesus and I had talked about while we were working on Lamplight together. So I'm very glad that we're actually finally getting it out in the world. To finish that out, we closed Lamplight this year, which is a little bit sad, but we still do have the volume collections coming out. So all 10 volume collections will be out soon. Finishing out that, so you can own your complete set of Lamplight, and I highly recommend it. The final 2 issues were specifically geared towards writers who had not had a professional publication yet, and so they are everybody in there had not had a professional publication. We raised the rate so that they got a professional rate publication, and they're fantastic. The final 2 issues of Lamplight are fantastic. And so I recommend everybody read them. I recommend everybody out there who votes for things like HWA to take a look at them. They've all taken an important first step at becoming HWA full members. And so, yeah. How you doing on that poem?
I think I'm done.
All right. Well, go for it. I need 30 seconds to catch up.
All right. Okay. So this is from the Bell Jar. Look at me like an unsteady photograph or a posed prop, a faceless design to be everything and nothing.
Like it.
I didn't even look at this page, but it definitely says, I want to be a poet and write me a poem all over it. I should have used those. Oh, if anyone is interested in learning a little bit more about Blackout poetry, or kind of doing this with us, like making one with kind of like a tutorial, I am doing a Blackout poetry tutorial, virtual one, on, I believe it's October 10th. It's part of the Writing Poetry in the Dark promo for the anthology that's coming out. It's all essays, and it's edited by Stephanie Wojtowicz, who is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's coming out from Raw Dog Screaming Press,
who are also amazing. So
yes, definitely amazing. And so I've recorded some of the videos for it. Basically, I will be doing 3 Blackout poems from the same page, all with different kind of themes and art. I'll be showing those videos and explaining them live on the tutorial, and then we'll be sending out a page from Dracula for everyone to play along with.
Oh, that's cool.
While I'm making one live as well. So it's gonna be fun.
Good. All right. Here's my not so great this year live poem. I woke saturated with pain, remembering the sun went all around outside. The streets laughed, and I could not tell. Are we in heaven?
I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today, Jess.
Yeah,
Thanks for everybody at Book Buzz for supporting this and doing this every year. We're grateful to be participants, and we're going to call it a day. So,
thanks, everyone. Go some poetry.
Hi, everyone. Next up, we have D. Alexander Ward from Bleeding Edge Books. We're very excited. I'm going to bring him right in and let him tell you what's going on with Bleeding Edge Books.
Hey.
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Good. It's good to see you.
Excellent. Excellent. Same here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to get out of your way. You need anything, just holler.
Okay, sure. No problem. I don't know. I know Bleeding Edge Books is fairly new to the scene here. Just a couple of years old now. But for those of you who are not familiar, we are kind of started out specializing in some of the formats that others did not want to explore so much, focusing mainly on novellas and anthologies. That is our primary focus. I don't have any intention at this point to get into novels, but you never know. So, and basically, we are not solely horror. We are what I like to call just the umbrella of dark fiction, which could be literally anything from the speculative genre that has the right vibe to it. And unfortunately, I can't tell people what that vibe is. I only know it when I see it, and know it when I read it. But we've gotten a few things out as of now. We have about 4 books in our catalog. Started with The Bad Book edited by John F.D. Taft. I don't know if you guys have checked this one out or not, but it's amazing. Got some fantastic writers in here. And John did a great job of pulling it together. It is essentially a book of biblical horror, I guess, for lack of a better word. Each story is inspired by a Bible story or parable and twisted and messed up to turn it into a real horror story. And I mentioned there were some great writers in here. I'll just rattle off a couple of the names here. We got V. Castro. We've got Sarah Reed. We've got Christy DeMeester. We've got Haley Piper. We've got John Langan. We've got Todd Kiesling. We've got Ed Kurtz and Dong Jai. We've got, there's Cindy O'Quinn is in here. Anyways, it's great. It's chock full of great material, so check it out if you haven't yet. Next up, we put out this novella by Michael Bailey and Aaron L. Kemper, which, even though they are certainly well known in the horror world, The Call of the Void, this novella is more of a, I would say more of a dark psychological mystery. It definitely sort of concerns 2 people that are sort of pushing the envelope on what you will and will not do to sort of break out of the normalness of everyday life. And it has a very police procedural feel to it because it's a lot of this, the story-wise, it happens after the fact, but it's very engaging, and people are really responding to it. They really like it. Of course, I won't spend too much time on this one. I had lost my previous publisher for this, so I ended up putting this back out under Bleeding Edge Books. It's my own short novel, Beneath Ash and Bone, which is basically a period horror mystery type story that happens in Virginia prior to the beginning of the Civil War. It's gotten generally a good response from everyone who's read it, so I encourage you to check it out. Next up, a lot of people may know this author, a lot of people may not, but that is part of what we want to do here at Bleeding Edge Books, is to bring some of these voices that are maybe not so widely tossed around in anthologies and through their own releases, and and kind of bring them into the light so people can get a look at them. This is Holly Cornetto's We Haunt These Woods, which is a great one. It is a novella. It is a coming of age horror novella. I would say even of all the books that we've got going here, sometimes people ask me about, like, well, what's the age? This certainly is probably the most age friendly of all of them. I wouldn't go so far as to call this young adult, but I would definitely say it is young adult friendly. And it's a great book about 2 kids sort of surviving the trauma of a tragedy that happened when they were young, and as a means to sort of conquer it and put the boogeyman, for lack of a better word, that's been haunting them all these years, in order to put that to rest, they return to the place where the tragedy originally happened, which was sort of a lake, a vacation spot at a lake. So that's really good. And Holly is getting great reviews that are coming in for this. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. And then our most recent one here is a book called Children of Fire by Chris D'Elia. And this one's really, really great. It is firmly a mystery crime. It sort of concerns the way I like to kind of say it is it's one of those tough talking detective novels, but with a lot of heart. And it concerns a detective who is tasked with rescuing a child from a cult that has appears to have taken the child in upstate New York. The twist is that this child is in fact his wife's new child by another man. So very complicated, very interesting stuff. Chris is a fantastic writer. I mean, this one will keep you entertained. It certainly does me. I really enjoy reading it. So I definitely recommend checking that out. If you are a bookseller, I wanted to let people know that all of these, although I started out with just copies on Amazon, all of these releases are now available through Ingram. So if you have a bookseller local to you that you think might be interested in these, they certainly should be able to find them and get them in. I would also like to mention that we are putting the finishing touches on a couple of audiobooks that will be released through Audible and the usual channels there. And those are audiobooks for Children of Fire and The Call of the Void. So hopefully I expect to see those live and downloadable within the next couple of weeks, provided everything goes to plan, which, you know, who knows? Sometimes things don't go to plan. So that's kind of talking about what we've got out right now. Let's talk a little bit more about what we've got coming up. And although I really started out this press with the intention to do just a book here and there, I don't know. I've gotten more and more sucked into it. So we definitely have an interesting schedule coming up for 2023 releases. Probably one of the biggest things that we are looking forward to here is, well, I'll handle the novellas first. We're definitely going to be continuing to put out a couple of novellas, maybe not 4 all in one year, but I'm hoping to put out at least 2 novellas, possibly 3. And I will say that right now, things that are on our schedule include a novella from author Patrick Rutigliano, which I don't know how many people are familiar with him or not. I mean, he's certainly out there and working and doing a great job. So it could be that a lot of folks are familiar with him. We've got a couple other things waiting in the wings that I don't want to completely expose that for right now, because those are not really set in stone yet. But it may or may not include, I'm just kidding, it may include a novella by Kevin Lucia. We also, when we did our open call for novellas, I got a lot of stuff that was great, but it just was not quite long enough to publish as a standalone novella. I am unexpectedly now pulling together a few of those to publish as part of a novelette collection. Again, that's very much still up in the air and in development, so I can't really say too much about who's going to be appearing in that yet, but I can tell you there's a great story in there by an author, Matilda Lewis, and I'm really looking forward to people seeing that and reading it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of this sort of impromptu collection fills out. The one thing I will tell you for sure about these novellas, I don't know when this stuff's coming out just yet. The novella publishing schedule for us is very fluid, to say the least. We are, however, a little bit more organized and sure about things when it comes to our anthologies that we're putting out in 2023. The big one for me that I've been looking forward to for a long time now, and it's just taken a while to sort of put it together and get it going. But we are in the home stretch of Shadows Over Main Street, Volume 3, which is the final volume in the trilogy, edited by Doug Morano and myself. This is sort of the third act, the apocalyptic ending to everything that we've sort of envisioned for these short stories and these anthologies. We're very excited about it. The stories are top notch; they're outstanding. We've got a few that we're still waiting on, and I'm very much looking forward to those, getting those in, and working with the authors to polish them up and get them out there. I do believe that we're going to be doing, as we have done with all the previous Shadows Over Main Street books, I believe that we will be doing interior illustrations, which is a huge thing for me. I always, as growing up as a kid, I always loved it when a book of short stories had an illustration to go along with it, because I'm a fan of good art, as like most of us are in any case. The other big anthology that we got planned for 2023 is going to be edited by John F.D. Taff and Shane Keene. It is called Morbidology, and I'll read you John's description of it verbatim here. It will collect stories from accomplished horror authors' tales of obsession, compulsion, desire taken to the extreme. Examples are Victor Frankenstein's obsession with creating life, from Dr. Pretorius' fascination with the brain pleasure centers, Dorian Gray's or Elizabeth Bathory's desire for youth and beauty. Morbidology will explore what happens when humanity's quest for knowledge, love, and power turns morbid. So that's going to be great. John does a fantastic job of putting together anthologies, as is evidenced by The Bad Book and many of the other things he's been involved in with other presses. Shane's a great guy. Can't wait to actually work with him to get this thing sort of birthed out into the world. So we're looking very much forward to that. I anticipate Shadows Over Main Street Volume 3 to publish around spring of 2023. Morbidology, I anticipate to be around late summer, possibly early fall of 2023. So that is sort of our year in a nutshell that's coming up, and what we've got on right now, and what was coming up. So looks like we got some questions. So what would a dream project you would like to work on or be involved with? Amy Lynn. Okay. I've often fantasized about working on tales that are inspired by music. Specifically, it would be awesome to work on I'm a huge fan of the band Clutch. Their stories have a lot of storytelling aspect. Their songs have a lot of storytelling aspect to them. I personally would love an anthology based off of the Psychic Warfare album, where each song inspired a story, and that would be awesome. And it would be really great if Neil Fallon would write the introduction. But I am clearly dreaming there. So, but I appreciate the question. That's great. Barry.
Hey there. I have a quick question, actually. Mm-hmm. Who does, and I don't know if this is like a publisher thing but who does the cover art for your books? They're beautiful, really beautiful covers.
Oh yeah. I tend to forget about the cover artists. Of course, right now we have Todd Kiesling is the guy who does all the layout for everything that we've done. I've worked with so far Lynn Hansen for Call of the Void, Greg Chapman for The Bad Book, Francois Valancourt with Beneath Ash and Bone, Greg Chapman with We Haunt These Woods, and Don Noble for Children of Fire. All of these artists do a phenomenal job. Todd is the best in the business as far as laying out and working with the artists and getting it all to look just top notch. So yeah, they are a huge part of the total package of our books, and I appreciate the compliment there. It's we try really hard to make sure that everything is packaged nicely, and looks as professional as possible.
We had another question too. I'm
Mhm.
not sure where it is in the comments.
Okay.
Are you taking submissions, and if so, what kind of work are you looking for?
Right now, we are not open to any submissions. Probably what I will do in the future when we open up again, it'll most likely be for novella submissions.
Okay.
And it will be, rather than full-on submissions, I will probably do pitch submissions, which are just a lot easier for me to manage. I really did not anticipate how much time it was going to take to get through all the ones that we got. And I don't feel like I did. I could have done a better job. And I think the way I'm going to do a better job is to make it easier on me so that I'm not dragging my feet on things. And so I think what we're going to be doing in the future for any kind of submission, unless it's a anthology open call submission, will be pitch submissions for novellas and possibly novelettes if I do, another sort of collection of shorter works, too long for a short story, but too short for a novella. So yeah, that's probably what we have coming down the pike. Right now, it's hard to say when that's going to happen because the schedule right now seems pretty full for 2023. So if we open up to anything in 2023, it will probably be for publishing in 2024.
Gotcha. Well, thanks so much, Dave, for being on the expo. We're really delighted to have you, and we really appreciate you giving us your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Okay, take care, Dave.
Okay, bye.
Okay, folks, coming up, we have Madness Heart Press, Cemetery Gates Media, and Bridget's Gate Press. So hang in there. We're going to have a few ads for you and a few book trailers and whatnot. So we will be back soon. Hi, everyone. We're coming back with Madness Heart Press with John Baltisberger. I'm going to bring him in and let him tell you all the cool stuff that they have coming up for the upcoming year. Hey, John.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Hello. It's been quite a while.
It has. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well, and thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for doing this. I'm going to pop out, give you the floor, and if you need me, just holler.
Absolutely. So, last year was my first time at the Buzz Book Expo, and if you've been following Madness Art Press, I was very excited to announce a new series called Blood Sports, which is going to be a sports-centric splatterpunk. That fell apart almost immediately. And as part of that, what we realized is what we were doing as a publishing company, as a publisher, was we were trying to follow in other people's successful footsteps. Specifically for that case, Death's Head Press. They had their splatter westerns, and we thought, okay, well, what can we do? That's a series that will kind of capture that momentum. And the reason it failed is because it was trying to be someone else. This last year has been all about Madness Heart Press figuring out who we actually want to be. And I think we've landed on it. What we are doing is trying to publish transgressive and experimental literature. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. This last year, we've done a lot of reprints from Shane McKenzie, Edward Lee, Max Bauman. And while we don't want to be a reprint shop, we wanted A, to grow relationships with those authors, and B, preserve some of the amazing work that they've done in the past and make sure those remain available for people. So that's been a big focus this year, and over the next 12 months, we're going to see new work from all of those authors. On top of that, we launched a new series early this year, called Madness Heart Life. Madness Heart Life is a little bit different. It's veering away from the splatterpunk and extreme stuff that a lot of people know us from, and focusing more on satire, more on bizarro. We released the Madness Heart Press Employee Handbook, which was me and all of my friends writing kind of a satirical HR handbook that is probably one of my favorite things that we've published. And we also published the Nephalon University course catalog, which again is kind of a satirical catalog of course college courses. Again, lots of fun, very, very tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, it's not taking itself very seriously, and that's a lot of the fun of it. So as of today, a few hours ago, we published a new book from Ben R. Zaid called Hauntologies, which you'll see on the screen right there. It is a book of works for the stage. And this is what I mean by experimental. No, I'm not going to say no one else's, but very few other houses are publishing books of plays, publishing the kind of poetry we're publishing. We have a new book from Susan coming out, Susan Snyder, called Picking Scabs. And the reason we're doing these is because early on in our life, I knew I wanted to publish things that other publishers would maybe balk at. And at first I thought that meant, publishing the stuff that's more gruesome, more extreme. But the truth is, there's incredible extreme and splatterpunk publishers out there. We are too, don't get me wrong. But, you have D&T, who I think spoke yesterday, Death Head Press, you have Evil Cookie, you have all of these people doing incredible work. And while we're not going to shy away from that stuff, we also want to do things that are surprising and strange. So today we put out plays / on hauntologies, and and that's kind of the first in a salvo of just completely unique books. On October 6th, just a few weeks away, we are publishing The Mummy of Canaan by Maxwell Bauman. It is a reprint, originally published from Clash Books. This is a new edition with a new ending, some more chapters thrown in, lots of new content, and we're really excited to kind of bring this author's vision to the book. One thing I will mention at this point is last time I was sitting here in front of you, we were mostly working with photo manipulated stock imagery to create covers. A lot of our covers were very dark. And we have since evolved to work mostly with artists like Luke Spooner, which you see there, Simone Tameda, and a few things from Don Noble as well. So we're working more with artists. We wanted to move as far away from stock imagery and pedestrian images as we possibly could, and celebrate unique artists. We are re-releasing another book on Halloween called Salamander Justice by Tamika Thompson. That book was one of the first books we published back in 2019, and while it is a very good book, it didn't get very much love. It had a very simple cover before. This is a cover done by Luke Spooner. It needed more love. It needed more respect, and it needed more work. And so we're working with a PR person on this one, and we're going to make sure it gets the recognition it deserves. Before that, I should have mentioned on October 1st, we are releasing the paperback and ebook edition of a little book called Warlock Infernal by Christine Morgan. This book first came out through Thunderstorm, in big, beautiful paper hardback. It's a gorgeous edition. Last time I checked, there was still one left. So if you want this in an incredible edition, it's still on Thunderstorm. However, if you missed that, do not fear. The paperback ebook editions are coming out, and they're incredible. Christine Morgan is maybe one of the best world builders I've ever met in the business or had the pleasure to read. So we're extremely excited about that. In November, and I don't know if we're able to pull up the picture. I know we had a few problems with Google Drive this morning, but in November, fingers crossed, as we're barreling towards the end of the year so quickly, we're putting out a book by Michael Allen Rose and Jim Apazala. Jim, I'm so sorry. Your name is hard for me to pronounce with my heavy tongue. It is The Last 5 Minutes of the Human Race. It is a alphabet primer of horror flash fiction, each letter illustrated by Jim, and it's incredible looking. We're really going all out on this one. We're going to make it in hardback, heavy duty paper. It's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book, and we really wanted to make something almost like a coffee table book, something that would be an art object as much as a book. Finally, rounding out December, we have Cyclists Among Miracles coming from our imprint, I Gotta Try It, by Ellen Bach. It is the possibly true story of Samson and Delilah. It's a modern retelling of the Bible story. It's gender swapped. It's a really fun book. It's a very cool book, and we're very excited to be able to put that through our Jewish imprint. And we'll also be doing Beneath the Unspoiled Wilderness by Nick Robinson, who we published his book, You Will Be Consumed, last year. I need to pull up my list of when we published what, but this is coming out again, another cover by Luke Spooner. We really like working with him, and it's just a really cool, bizarre woodland slasher. I don't want to give too much away, but Nick is really an up and comer. He's really kind of taken the extreme and splatterpunk scene by storm. He won a Godless Award. He was a splatterpunk nominee, and he's really been out in the world for about 12 months or going into 2 years now. So he's really someone to watch and to keep a close eye on his career. And we're very honored to be able to be a part of what he's doing. The last thing I'll say on that, and I didn't send an image for this, is we started a game imprint in January, Madness Heart Games. So now it's Madness Heart Press is the parent company, and we publish books through Madness Heart Press. And then we also have a Gotta Try It, our Jewish imprint, and Madness Heart Games, which we do tabletop role-playing games through. For that, we have I think we have 2 games that I know are coming out quickly. Morkabeans, which is a module for Morkborg, and Splatter League, which is a super-powered superhero splatterpunk bizarro mashup game that I think a lot of people will have a lot of fun with. Going into the next year, 2023, we are slowing down. It's come to my attention that as a publisher, I have, since we opened our doors in 2019, we have put out, or will have put out in December, over 60 books. And that's a lot. As an author, I think I've written 14 or 16 books in the last 4 years, and these 2 things side by side have been a little bit intense, a little bit extreme, and we want to slow down and take our time and make sure every book is getting the love, appreciation, and effort behind it that it deserves. So, with that in mind, for 2023, we have a new poetry collection from Susan Snyder. We have 1 anthology planned, which will be our 4th annual Trigger Warning. We're putting out another reprint from Maxwell Bauman. We're doing the Anarchist revised kosher cookbook. We have a few Jewish books, one from award-winning author Josh Schlossberg called Charwood. We have a new book from Gina Rinaldi that I'm very excited about. It is Gush, Tales of Vaginal Horror. We have a new book from Doug Ford called The Trick. Charles Bernard, who does a lot of historical and occult novels, is publishing, or we're publishing, He Led Us Into the Wilderness and Spoke to Us, which is going to kind of be a retelling of the Jonestown Massacre. We're very excited about that. And we are also publishing one reprint from Ed Lee, The Backwoods, is going to be coming out. We also have a new book from Edward Lee, which is a continuation of the story he was telling in The Dollhouse. And we have a new book from Shane McKenzie, Eternal October, which will be due out in October. Finally, I saved the best for last, I'll admit. We are publishing a book from Susan Snyder and Christine Morgan that is in the works right now, which is called Nympho Shark Fuck Frenzy. And I feel like the name speaks for itself. So that's what we have in the works right now. It's a lot, but it's also far calmer than we've been over the last few years. Obviously, if really cool projects drop in our lap, we will probably do those as well. I have a question about, so do we have any plans for another Jewish horror anthology? I don't have a plan for a Jewish anthology. We did the one in 2019, which was Corners of the World. And then obviously Josh Schlossberg edited the Jewish Book of Horror that I was lucky enough to be in this last year. As far as an anthology, probably not. We're focusing on, individual Jewish authors. So again, for the next year, we have End of Days, Charwood, Book of Zev 4. So we have 3 Jewish books coming out next year, but no specific plans for a anthology at this time. Though obviously that could change if something crazy happens. Whew. Yeah.
Hey there. Hi. I don't mean to be so big. Hold on. Let me fix us. Here I am. I do have a question about the tabletop role-playing
Yeah.
games. Is it hard to make that transit? What went into like transitioning to doing games as well? Because that's got to be a whole new interesting field to tackle.
It's so interesting because as a game design, like the game design zeitgeist, the community is as saturated as say the horror writer community is. It's like, when you're in it, it seems like everyone is in it.
Everyone's in it. Yep.
Especially in your household.
Yeah.
but it's a completely different mentality. It's very different points of view. And what's really been strange is that, when you're a horror author, you might collab with someone. You might get a wild hair and decide to do Clickers 5 with another person, or you might do an anthology. But by and large, being a writer is very solo work. You're sitting at your desk or your coffee table and you're plugging away. Even when you're working with other people at a retreat, you're both working on your own project.
Right.
And even when you're collabing, you're sending a chapter back and forth. In gaming, you work side by side with other people, line by line, rule by rule. You have to, instead of getting beta readers, you have to get beta testers who tell you, okay, these rules feel good, these rules feel bad. On top of the problem of you still need to tell a story, you still need to build a world, but that story has to be open-ended enough that the players feel that they have control over it and get to interact with it. And it's a really interesting and strange challenge, but I find it very rewarding.
I think that's kind of cool. So you're basically doing this like from the ground up with games. Like you're developing the story Bible, the world Bible, and then the rules of the game and all of the modules that go with it. The whole 9 yards.
So I'm doing both. The first 2 projects I did were from the ground up. I built my team, people I was working with, built everything from the ground up. And it's so, like, the first one we released, Numinous Brutality, I put it out and I was so excited. It was just a beta version. And I put it out and then I looked at it, it's like, I forgot like 4 important rules in this. So there it goes. The second one I'm super proud of, but we're doing another edition to make me even more proud of it, to expand on world building. And then for this last one, which I actually kickstarted, I actually built on someone else's system, on the Mork Borg system. There's benefits to both. When you do your own, you get to build something completely new and hit your vision perfectly, right? When you're working on someone else's IP, you don't have to worry about system. You don't have to worry about creating new rules whole cloth. It's been play tested, and this is incredible, there's an install base. For instance, when you write a book that no one's heard, like when you create a new book, your fans will probably read it. Maybe some other people will read it. Whoever sees the advertisement will read it. However, when you wrote, say, an Alien franchise book, your fans are going to read it, and then all of the people who are obsessed with Alien are also going to read it. And that's a huge, huge bonus when you're working on someone else's IP that has a big install base.
That makes sense. Does anybody else have any final questions for John before we let him go? If you do, post them in the comments with question tagged, and we'll give you a little bit of time there to get it in.
while we're waiting for people to ask questions, I will say that on top of the Madness Heart Press stuff, obviously I'm working on my own stuff as an author.
Mm-hmm.
We have some pretty exciting things, again, from that like franchise IP standpoint. Working a lot more with like pulp fantasy and grimdark fantasy. So
Oh,
if you enjoy
cool.
that stuff, please, follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. It's at MHP_horror and at Kaiju Poet.
Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, okay. We have one question. We're gonna throw it up here real quick.
When is the shark title coming out? That is, so they are still writing it at this point, but my plan, my goal is to have that out for the 4th of July, because that is the perfect time to
Yes.
read about boy howdy, to read about what's going to happen in that book.
I can only imagine.
What is the holy grail IP I would love to work in? That's really, like, there's so many, right? There's so many IPs I love, but I can tell you this very easy: Conan the Barbarian. I got my love of reading and my love of fantasy from Robert Howard, and to be able to write a swords and sorcery barbarian meets like eldritch horror, it would I would just roll around and giggle to myself. I'd be so happy.
Oh, definitely. I feel you there. Okay, we have one more question. Oh, I think you got to answer, right?
Yeah.
I guess
The answer is yes. I like
yes.
all pulp fantasy and horror, but like if you read old Conan stuff, like that stuff has a lot of eldritch horror in it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Conan's in my blood. I'm a Texan, just like Howard. So there's a lot of really idiotic, misplaced pride there.
And Clark Ashton Smith has some beautiful, beautiful fantasy as well. Yeah, I like both. I absolutely do. Well, thank you, John, so much for doing the expo with us. We're really delighted to have you, and we will let you go. Thanks again, folks. We will.
Thank you so much.
Take care, John.
Bye-bye.
We will be back in a little few minutes here. We have some more ads to show you, and then we will be back with Cemetery Gates Media and Bridget's Gate Press. So hang in there with us for a little longer, folks. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. We're back. We're back in a cosmic way. We have Cemetery Gates Media. We have a presentation, and afterwards, Joe's going to come on and talk a little bit about what's going on. If you have any questions, you can get your questions in. You can ask him questions after the presentation. So hang in there, and we'll get that on for you.
Hello, my name is Joe Sullivan, co-founder of Cemetery Gates Media. My writing partner John Burrell and I published our first book in the fall of 2015 until the summer of 2019. We're only publishing our stuff. In 2019, we began putting out group anthologies and some single author titles. For the last couple of years, we've put out a bunch of anthologies, novellas, and novels by some exciting up and coming talents like Gemma Moore, J.W. McCarthy, Tyler Jones, and Ross Jeffrey. We're kind of two publishing brands at the moment. Sadie Hartman is running her My Dark Library line of novellas for us, while I'm handling a line of single author collections, novels, and anthologies. We're going to let our authors talk about their upcoming releases, but I'd like to mention that the second volume of our Campfire Macabre anthology is releasing this October. It's 5 different themes, and there's 40 odd writers in that book. A lot of familiar names in that one. We have a 4-person anthology collection hybrid thing we plan on putting out in December or so. Sarah Tantlinger, Corey Fahrenkopf, Red Legault, and Jessica Ann York. If you're a writer, we're going to have a couple different open calls for short stories in 2023. Kevin Lucia is going to helm the second Liminal Spaces anthology, currently subtitled Strange Geographies. We have 2 editors running a dark academia anthology that we should be announcing the details for early next year. A lot of cool people involved with both of those books. We tend to do open calls sporadically for novellas and debut novels. We don't have a real strict schedule for putting stuff out. But I want to mention that Ari Busby's My Dark Library novella, Corporate Body, is likely going to come out next spring before Stephanie Parent's debut. So I'm going to stop talking and let some of our authors talk about their upcoming books.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Yu, author of Bound Feet. My novella is about 2 best friends who sneak into a Chinese garden and ghost museum overnight and accidentally summon something ancient. It's a story of loss and identity, and it's chock full of Chinese ghost folklore. Bound Feet will be out September 27th as part of Sadie Hartman's My Dark Library series, published through Cemetery Gates Media. I hope you'll pick up a copy, and thank you for listening. Bye.
Greetings, dear reader. My name is Michael Harris Cohen, and I am the author of Effects Vary. Effects Vary is a collection of dark fiction and literary horror, which is published by Cemetery Gates Media and due out October 4th. Soon. So it's 22 stories, 20 of which have been previously published in places ranging from The Dark Magazine, Conjunctions, Apparition Lit, a variety of really excellent anthologies. 2 of the stories are new to this collection, so I'm really, really excited that those are going to be out there in the world. 4 of the stories are actually award winners. One of them for a contest judged by Miss Murder herself, Mercedes Yardley, who I love. Another one for a book called The Modern Grimoire, which unfortunately was not bound in human skin. And that book has been out of print for probably 8 years. So I'm very happy that story is also included in this collection because I think it's one of my best. So the book has been read by a number of people, received some advanced praise. I'm not a name dropper, so I'm not going to drop any names, but if I were to drop names, I might drop names like Brian Evanson, Danielle Trussoni, Lincoln Michelle, Haley Piper, Samantha Kolesnick, Eric Renard, Mercedes Yardley. But again, as I said, I'm not a name dropper. Last thing I want to show you is a picture of the cover made a little bit bigger so you can see it by the incredible design wizard, Matthew Revert. So as you can see, the book itself, you could put it on your shelf after you read it. You could hang it on your wall, you could put it in your medicine cabinet. So it's suitable for framing. That's that. I really hope you check it out and I hope you dig it. So wherever you are, I hope you're well. Take it easy, but take it.
Hello, Buzz Book Expo. I am horror author Wesley Southard, author of the award-winning Cruel Summer, Try Again, The Final Gates, and co-author of this fine book, Where the Devil Waits, with Mr. Mark Steensland, put out by Cemetery Gates Media. And speaking of Cemetery Gates Media, they have asked me to come on here, to discuss my newest collection coming out to them called They Mostly Come at Night. Yes, that's an Aliens reference. Aliens. Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out the first half of November. Don't have an exact date for that yet, but yeah, first half-ish of November. Ebook and paperback. Yeah, so I'm extremely excited for this book to come out. Not only because it has really awesome artwork from Mr. Trevor Henderson, who I'm so excited to have been worked with. He allowed us to use some of his artwork for the cover, and it's awesome. It's really, really awesome. So like, you want to like put the artwork here, like insert artwork like right here. Like, yeah, like look at that. That's badass, right? Okay. But yeah, I'm super proud of this collection. I have one other collection previous to this called Resisting Madness, which I really do love that collection. But most of the stories originally came out like 10 plus years ago, and I was a younger man then. These stories in this collection, which there are 11 of, are a bit more, I would say, maybe mature. Maybe mature is the best word. This is the stories that I'm really, really proud of. Most of these, or all of them, I shouldn't say most of these, all of these. I'm very proud of all these stories. I think it's a much more mature collection than the previous one. I mean, these stories are where I'm at more these days. Yeah, there's some decently extreme stuff in there, but there's also some kind of quiet stuff, and there's more creepy stuff, and yeah, I'm very excited about this. Yeah, it's got like stories like the one I won a Splatterpunk award for last year, called My Body, about a French restaurant that drops into a small town in Indiana and becomes the talk of the town. But what they don't know is what's being put into the food is making people do really bad things. Um, Another one that's newer to this collection is a story called Separated Self. It's about a guy who keeps waking up inside people's bodies, and he can't control what's happening in these bodies, but he sees everything and feels their emotions and feels their pain, sometimes bad pain. um and sort of the story is about a big lesson of, you don't have it nearly as bad as you think you do. um Other stories that are newer to this collection are like a story called Celebrity Mean Tweets, which, I mean, you can kind of, if you've seen the internet videos, you can kind of see where that one's going. um Another one is a story called For You Anything, which was the story I wrote for the J.F. Gonzalez tribute anthology, Clickers Forever. I'm very happy about that one. It's like a post-apocalyptic story about a mom who takes her daughter to a dead zoo. Another one called Echo. That's the first time in English. It was originally in Italian, in an Italian anthology, and this is the first time it's going to be in English. And I'm really very, very, very proud of that one in particular. And then it's got a couple flash stories and another one called The Negative One that came out last year in the Gore Fest anthology, which, I mean, you can kind of tell from just the title of that anthology what this story is like. Again, I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. Yeah, first half of November. They mostly come at night. It's gonna be good. Insert cover here. Pretty cool. Thanks, guys.
Hi there. I'm Tim McGregor. I'm the author of Taboo in Four Colors, which is coming out from Cemetery Gates Media this November. It's part of the My Dark Library series, which is curated by Sadie Hartman, aka Mother Horror. It's a genre mashup that involves horror, pulp fiction, film noir, and romance. And all of it is situated in the comic book industry in New York City in the 70s. The story basically follows a young comic book artist named Carson, who has been collaborating with this eccentric and very reclusive writer, who he's never actually met in person. The two correspond back and forth. That's how they communicate. The writer sends in his scripts, Carson illustrates them. Everything's going fine until suddenly the writer starts blowing his deadlines. And Carson tracks him down to find out what's going on. And he uncovers a secret that threatens not only his own career, but the fate of the entire comic book company that they both work for. And from there, it's hilarity and hijinks. Anyway, I hope you check it out. And shout out to Sadie for putting all of this together. Thanks. Bye.
When a young woman finds herself abandoned on a dock in the north of France with no memory of who she is or how she came to be there, she allows herself to be renamed Marguerite and taken in as the governess for a petulant daughter in a house full of secrets. But it soon turns out that some of those secrets are deadly. The little girl, Melianne, it reminds her of something that she can't quite put her finger on, but she has to remember her own past in order to save them both from what's going on there. I first came up with the idea for the Bonnie Swans when I was in college. I was playing in an Irish group, and I did an arrangement of Lorena McKennett's version of the Bonnie Swans for the group. It's an old song and it comes in many versions, but in all of them, there are two sisters and they fall in love with the same person. And he favors the younger sister, so the older sister drowns her younger sister. And the younger sister gets dragged out and made into a harp in some traditions or a fiddle in other traditions, a viol de gamba in my version. And the instrument sings of its own accord the song of her sister's betrayal. But of course, I am an older sister, and I thought this story would be much more interesting from the murderous older sister's perspective. So that's what I've done. The Bonnie Swans is my very queer, very gothic retelling of the Bonnie Swans. And I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Parent, and my debut gothic horror novel, The Briars, is forthcoming in May 2023 from Cemetery Gates Media. This novel was inspired by my 6 years working as a professional submissive and dominatrix at a commercial dungeon in Los Angeles. In the novel, I take the classic gothic haunted house story and transplant it to this modern S&M dungeon setting. I describe the book as The Haunting of Bly Manor meets Hustlers. It's a story of two female sex workers battling an increasingly vengeful ghost and their growing attraction to each other. This is queer feminist horror that calls back to the classic gothic tradition, but also discusses the very modern horrors faced by women, sex workers, and members of the LGBTQ community. It's an important book, but it's also fun, scary, sexy, and romantic. So I hope you'll pick it up next year when it's released in May 2023 from Cemetery Gates. Thank you so much.
Hi there. I'm going to bring Joe in. If you have any questions, tag him question in the comments, and we'll get the questions up for Joe to answer. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
Hey, Mary. How's it going?
Good. Great. Thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. That was a fantastic presentation. Those are some great looking books.
Yep. The authors are the best people to represent them, so I figured have them on.
That's a great. I'm going to step out a little bit if you need it. I know, right? Wes's book I'm very excited about. I'm going to step out, and you can tell us what you want. If you have questions, folks, get them, tag them in, as question in the comments, and we'll get them up for Joe to answer. I will get out of your way. Holler.
Thanks. Yep, cover reveal for Wes's book. You saw a little bit in the video, but yeah. So Trevor Henderson, Slimy Swamp Ghost on Twitter. We're a big fan of his, and so he did that up for us, nice, and I believe Wes is excited about that. So yeah, and I think, yeah. So there's gonna be a dark academia anthology ran by. I don't want to give too much away about who's running and all that. We're still working on it, but the announcement I believe is gonna be in the first week of December. It'll be an open call, and yeah. So that's gonna be one of our anthologies working on next year. And yeah, and then the Kevin Lucia. Kevin Lucia is appearing a lot on this this expo this weekend. But yeah, he'll be running the second version of our Liminal Spaces anthology. Strange Geographies. So he'll have I believe he wants to have a call next summer for that one.
Now, the My Dark Library that Sadie Hartman is doing, is that an imprint of Cemetery Gates?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So we got 6 books for the first series of it, and then we're gonna run all 6 books. Pam Watts's book is gonna come out in January, and probably about March or April is R.A. Busby's book, The Corporate Body. That'll be the 6th one of the series. And then I don't know if we're going to grab another couple or if we're going to do an open call for another series. We haven't really talked too much about the future after the first 6 books. But yeah, Sadie's running that. And she's got her other things she's running. She's got her own book she's working on. So yeah, there's nothing set in stone on that one.
Well, it all sounds great. There's some really good stuff, beautiful covers, and I like the idea that you had the authors come and talk to. I do think that makes it makes the books a little more endearing to readers to see the authors excited and talking about their books.
Who better to sell their own books than the author?
Exactly. Folks, if you have any questions for Joe, tag them now. We've got about 3 minutes left, and we can get the questions up. How about the submissions? Is Cemetery Gates taking submissions now?
Right now, no. We tend to run anthologies and get to know people, and then kind of behind the scenes, keeping up on their career and what they're at, where they're at. That's typically how you end up getting published with us. Someone will come and say, I'm working on this and this. There's so many great projects we have in the works now, but can't reveal all of them yet.
Right. Well, that's good. Then you'll have more to talk about next year when you come back. So any final questions, folks? We'll give them a minute.
Yep, this one's up next. Luke Spooner did the art on this one, Calcea Yu's book, Bound Feet, My Dark Library book. So really excited about that. A week from this Tuesday, this one comes out.
That looks beautiful. That sounds really good.
Just finishing up some of the interior on that one.
And we should, I think that these publishers who are, representing a wider range of authors, you guys deserve a shout out. We appreciate that. We saw some women, we saw, different mythologies from, different places around the world. And we appreciate that. It's always nice to see publishers looking at a wider pool, I guess, of writers to choose from. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
There's some great stories out there. Yeah, we've been trying to get some South American stories, and we've published some stories from Africans, and there's great stories out there, really unique stories.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my favorite anthology that we've done or that we've published. The favorite one I've published is probably The Places We Fear to Tread. It's just, that's kind of like my homegrown, hometown thing, like real places and spooky stories. But my favorite anthology ever is probably that there's a there's a Twilight Zone like homage kind of anthology that was put out probably 20 years ago. You see it all over the place. I can't even think of it. I have it on my bookshelves. Yeah, I love the stories in that one.
I think I know which one you mean. I can't think of the title either, but I can almost like picture the cover in my head.
The cover's kind of iconic. It's been around forever now.
Yeah. I do. I like those kind of stories too. I'm with you. Okay, well, that's our time. Joe, thank you so much for being part of the expo.
Thanks for putting this together.
We really appreciate it. That was a great presentation, and tell all the authors, congratulations, and we're looking forward to seeing their books.
Thank you very much.
Take care, Joe. Okay, folks, we've got a little break coming up, so refill your coffee cups and take a bathroom break if you need it, and we will be back. We will be back in 10 minutes with Bridget's Gate Press.
thought we were just coming up here to have some fun, but this is evil.
Are we there yet? Almost.
Let's get out of here before this goes too far.
Home sweet home.
You just remember to keep your mouth shut.
Stacy? 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 Daddy, tell Piggy Ann to stop playing so much.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our final presentation for Buzz Book Expo 2022. We're very excited to have Bridget's Gate Press. They're going to be having some authors do some readings for us, and they're going to have a few little details. And we also have a giveaway, so stick around for the giveaway at the end. And then following the last of the presentations, the committee and I, me and Summer and Matt, we have a few final closing statements. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the authors in. We've got Stephanie Ellis, we've got Jerry Roth, Ben Monroe, and Casey Griffon. Did I say your last name right, Casey?
Griffin. Close.
Griffin. Okay. I'm going to get out of your way so that you guys can read, and just holler if you need anything.
Okay. Hi, I'm Stephanie Ellis, and I'm here on behalf of Steve and Heather of Bridget's Gate Press. We're all excited to be part of Buzz Books Expo today, so thank you for having us. There are 4 of us here, as you can see, and we'll all be reading a bit of our upcoming novels. I have 2 books, both folk horror, coming out with Bridget's Gate Press. I've got Reborn coming out in October, and The Woodcutter, which is due out in January of 2023. And I'll be reading a little bit of that now to build up a little bit of the atmosphere and to describe the old evil lurking in the boundaries of the village in the story. So here's a little bit from The Woodcutter. I hope you enjoy it. A nightmare. No, not a nightmare, a memory. Dead eyes staring up at him as an engine ticked over and the night roared above. The storm hadn't left him since then, continued to rage within, disturbed the balance he'd fought so hard to maintain all those years. His Bible accused him, his faith a closed book, offering no guidance or comfort. How had it come to this? To carving the woodcutter's mark on a dead man's face. His hand still shook at the memory. Reverend Edmund Chadwick's time was drawing to an end. There was to be no quiet retirement for him, his body seeking its own rest regardless of the desires of his soul. Medical opinions sided with flesh, and there was nothing to be done. Instead, Fred Groves filled his ear with a lifetime of suffering and injustice and demanded Chadwick's complicity in his revenge, forced him to mark Cameron for the woodcutter. Brand a man and offer the blood, and the monster will come. And Cameron was of the blood. The Reeves family links were historically known. As he thought of the completion of the offering, which could only be made after the funeral, he buried his head in his hands. Superstition continued to rule the village, binding Chadwick to church and both to the woods. He could not leave. He would never leave. He had failed to keep the devil at bay. Growing up in the village, his father had done his duty, and Edmund had watched, all the time allowing the seed of scepticism to grow, so when it was his turn to take the pulpit, he turned his back on the past. No longer did he subscribe to the old tradition of walking the parish perimeter to define its boundaries. As a child, he and his friends followed his father, carrying sticks or boughs and beating the boundary markers as they went. Prayers and blessings for the land, for its inhabitants, for its harvest were repeated at each marker. In most parts of England, this ritual was carried out during spring when the world was full of light. The beating of the bounds in Little Hatchet differed in 2 important respects. In this small village, lurking in a remote corner of the country, not far from the Welsh border, a variation of the rites was also carried out on October the 31st, Halloween. Their focus this time was not to keep trespassers out or stop land disputes between property owners. Here it was to keep God begone wood and those who dwelt beneath its canopy in. This forest, a huge body of oak and ash, beech and yew, curved round the village as if nature decided to colour in a thick black border across the landscape to define Little Hatchet's presence. The local priest, always a Chadwick, would lead the inhabitants of the settlement around its edges, touching the boundary with a crucifix carried by an altar boy and sprinkling holy water as they walked. In this manner, the village was kept safe from the demon lurking in that darkness, and the forest could not move forward. That was then. The Reverend Edmund Chadwick had long decided the stories surrounding God Begone Wood were mere superstition, and so the rites stopped. Occasionally to be revived as a village reenactment, a bit of fun, but that was all. Fred warned him there would be trouble, told him the bonds which bound both wood and its inhabitants were too weak, would let evil out. It seemed his parishioner was right, albeit Chadwick was still convinced much of what was happening had its roots very much in the human world. Can you see it, feel it? Asked Fred. Look around you. The forest has grown. Needs only a little push to gobble the village. Something else too is coming. Haven't you noticed? No, he hadn't until now, and already it was too late. So that was from The Woodcutter, which is out in January of next year. So next up, I believe, is Jerry.
Hello, my name is Jerry Roth. I'm a horror writer, been doing it a couple years, and I'm very honored to be with all these writers with me and working with Bridget's Gate. They are an incredibly passionate publisher, and I'm very excited that they brought my collection. I'm going to be reading a small part of a short story collection. It's called Throwing Shadows, and the part I'm going to be reading from is going to be The Strength of a Woman. So, moonlight shone through the window was enough to see the spot the baby was empty. Sarah squinted as if the girl would come into focus from sheer willpower alone. The bed remained vacant, and panic was a stalking animal trapped in a room with her. Sarah searched beside the cradle, as if the child who couldn't sit up by herself had somehow climbed over the side. Her heart sank when Shelley wasn't on the floor, but relief washed over her. She wasn't lying there injured from the fall. Her mind worked fast, and that was a problem. Too many ideas came in, clogged her brain, and stalled her reason. More desperate than ever, Sarah searched the room until movement drew her attention. There was flailing, except it wasn't in the room. Through the open window, she saw Shelley, lying on the grass a few feet from the knee-high stalks of corn. Seeing her baby out in the elements melted the fog. Determination replaced her dreamy motions long enough for her to pump her legs toward the front door. She shouted to Jacob, sleeping in the bed, or to Nancy down the hall, shifting to a higher speed. Her foot slipped, but her socks found traction in time to keep her from falling headfirst. The closed door stopped her momentum. With hands scrambling with the knob, she turned and pulled it free. The night wind, cold and harsh, pressed against her face. Her initial thought was the breeze tried to keep her from Shelley. The idea was ridiculous, far-fetched, but it also grabbed onto some dark part of her psyche that told her Shelley wasn't long for the world. Seeing the helplessness of the girl's minutes after birth showed her the frailty of life. Sarah found another gear as she rushed toward the corner of the house. The moon high above the cornfield shone down on the grass. She saw the naked child nestled on the soft earth. How long had Shelley been there? Her skin shimmered from the light creeping through the stalks. Something moved in the field. Whatever it was took up a lot of space and darkened the form of her baby. Her feet moved before she understood what to cast blackness. And as she moved closer, so did its shadow. When Shelley was within reach, the stars disappeared altogether. Sarah clutched her girl in the chilly air, expecting an attack. I'm not ready to die. The idea of death got her feet moving, even if hopelessness threatened to pull them both down. Shelley lay on Sarah's warm chest. The problem remained the same. Whatever made its way toward Shelley wasn't given up without a fight. With every movement of her legs, the sound of scratching rose from behind. When she slowed, the scratching mimicked her movements. Sarah stretched her neck upward and screamed into the night. A glow came from the house. The scratching sped up, and for a split second, she thought it was upon us. Instead, the sound moved away. That was a little part from Throwing Shadows, a short story collection. When I created it, it was kind of a vibe that I had that I loved the Tales from the Crypt and Creep Show when I was young, and I wanted to put together a collection of stories that had that kind of vibe and feel for me. and I'm excited that Bridget's Gates allowed me to bring it into the world. So thank you.
And I guess that brings us to me. So I'm Ben Monroe. I'm calling in from the San Francisco Bay Area. I usually like to say from sunny California, but miraculously we actually got rain today. So that's pretty good, kind of thematic for the story here. So I'm going to be reading actually just sort of the tail end of the first chapter of my novel, The Seething, which is coming in 2023, February 2023 from Bridget's Gate. And the setup as we begin, our character Mike Barnes has wrecked his little boat on the shore of an island in the center of a large lake, think about the size of Lake Tahoe or so. He was fishing, boat broke, and now he's stuck there. He's been there for hours. And so Mike Barnes walked back down the hill, sat on the shore, and glared out across the lake. More hours passed and rain came, cold and miserable. He moved back from the shore and sat under the oak boughs. The moon rose, night came, and a chill set in. By morning, he had a fever, and he was hungry and parched. He opened his mouth to catch some rainwater, sucked on his soaked shirt, but it wasn't enough. He got on his hands and knees at the edge of the lake and gulped a few mouthfuls of the cold lake water. Slow, cold rain oozed down Mike's back as he sat on the shore, staring out across the lake. The sun rose, and golden ripples reflected off the lake's surface. The constant drizzle was irritating, and he felt wretched. Mike wished the rain would come harder, would just pour out of the sky in bucketfuls and splash across the surface. At least then he wouldn't have the false hope that the people he glimpsed on the far shore might notice him and send for help. He lay in the rain-wet mud, shivering, and then coughed, a thick, racking cough that ripped at the insides of his chest. Mike approached the water. Nobody was coming to help him. The day had barely broken, and most people hadn't even risen for their morning coffee yet. He would either die alone on the island in sight of the shore, or he could swim. As he stepped closer to the water's edge, he heard a rustling in the leaves nearby. Turning to look behind him, he saw a pair of ravens, midnight black and staring at him from a branch in an old oak tree. "Least you can fly out of here," he said, and then turned and walked toward the water. As he did, the ravens flapped down from the tree onto the sand, hopping after him. He stepped off the shore, and his feet sank into soft, silty sand. The ravens flapped and cawed as he did, a cacophony of beating wings and furious noise. In final desperation, he lurched out into the water. His head was pounding and thick as he strode into the lake. When the water was up to his thighs, he stepped off the shelf and began paddling toward shore. He reached and pulled at the water and kicked his legs out to put the island as far behind him and as fast as possible. But his chest was thick and heavy, and breathing was agony. His muscles weakened fast, and he was reduced to treading water while trying to keep his head just above the surface. He bobbed under, taking in a mouthful of cold lake water, and then thrust up and spat it out, coughing. Mike rolled onto his back, arms and legs splayed out and stirring slightly to keep him afloat. He rested for a moment, his ears below the waterline, hearing the muffled ebb and flow of the low, lapping waves. Lying on his back, he leaned his head forward and saw the island just beyond his feet. Just as he was about to turn back over and begin a crawl stroke again, he saw something dark, sinuous, but indistinct through the haze of his fever vision, slithering through the tree line in the distance. Mike turned onto his stomach and began to pull at the water with weak strokes of his arms. His legs kicked behind him and he sliced into the water, panic rising in his chest. And then something grabbed his limbs, clutched with biting cold, slithered around his arm, dragging it back until the joints strained and popped from their sockets, pulling tight and digging into his skin. He took a final breath as his throat was encircled and he was dragged under. His vision flooded with green lake water as the last breath of air exploded out of him, and his lungs filled with water as he was pulled down into the slime at the bottom of the lake. A lancing, searing pain from his arms and legs, a cloud of crimson, and he saw nothing more. As I said, that's the close of the first chapter of the book. Everything goes to hell from there. The Seething, February 2023, coming from Bridget's Gate. Hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, I think I'm next up. Hi, everyone. My name is Casey Griffin, and I will be reading from Melinda West, Monster Gunslinger, which is a fantasy horror adult adventure set in the Old West. The story takes place in an alternate history where monsters poured into the region, and a Bonnie and Clyde-like duo roam the land to offer their exterminating services. But when this couple, Melinda and Lance, accidentally release a demon that steals souls, they find themselves caught in a supernatural war. And the book will be published by Bridget's Gate this February 2023. And I will read a short excerpt from the very beginning. Chapter 1. Melinda never missed, not in her 28 years of gunslinging. But then again, she never dealt with giant flying scorpions before. She aimed at the two shapes above a cactus several hundred feet away, fired, and watched as one of the bodies dropped. Aside from being bigger than any insect on this earth ought to be, the scorpion's 6 back legs were webbed, giving them the oh-so-handy ability to become airborne. A calf-sized one flew through the air with its green-tipped tail poised directly toward her head. She slid behind a toppled boulder, dust whipping up and stinging her eyes as the scorpion soared past, pincers outstretched. Its back legs brushed the tip of her wide-brimmed hat, caught a draft, and swept back toward her like a giant leaf in the wind. 4 sets of white eyes alongside its orange head fixed on Melinda as it came back around. She sucked in a breath and fired her pistol again, praying the wind wouldn't shift. The bullet tore through the insect's shell, ripping open its soft insides. Its chitin shattered like it was made of fine china, and bright green goo splattered onto the cacti and rock around her. These bugs ain't joking, Lance huffed as he crouched next to Melinda, his brown hat askew. The grooves along his mouth deepened as he rooted in his knapsack for a weapon, the blondish stubble on his chin dark with dust. Never seen this many air scorpions before in one place. Looks like their guts will sting something awful, he said. Poisonous, no doubt, Melinda said. Aunt Beatrice sure would love a sample. Bullets? Almost out, Lance hoisted his rifle. Bombs, she asked. Just the one, Lance said as they both peered over the edge of the hill at the sharp drop leading to the mine. Hundreds of the orange and beige insects scuttled out of the mine entrance, agitated, it seemed, by Melinda and Lance's presence. The gash in the side of the hill was flanked by a steep rise in the earth around it, creating a bowl into which the scorpions poured. One of the creatures lifted its webbed legs to catch another gust of wind blowing towards them. Before it could take flight, Lance's shot rang out, exploding the bug into green goo. The rest of the scorpions in the pile chittered and clanked their piercers. Though they'd seen plenty of odd creatures in their line of work, this sound was one Melinda was sure would haunt her dreams. That's the segment. Since I'm the last author for this group, on behalf of everyone, I want to say thanks for tuning in. And I think we'll turn it back over to the organizer, Mary.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Those were great stories. A lot of love for you guys in the comments. So we really appreciate you guys coming on and reading your stories. They all sound great. We're very excited. If anyone has any questions for any of the writers up here, get them in now. We've got about 2 minutes. While we're waiting for questions to pop up, we have a giveaway for you guys. So here are, remember folks, if you weren't here yesterday, we'll go over how it works again. What you want to do is send an email to buzzbookexpo@gmail.com. buzzbookexpo@gmail.com. In the body of the email, we will need your name and a mailing address that we can send all the goodies to you at. So make sure you get your name and email address in the body of the email. In the subject line, we have special super secret code words for the different giveaways that we have. For the first giveaway, it is a bundle. Bundle number 1 is a Stephanie. Is it Ellis? Am I pronouncing it right? Okay. I want to make sure I didn't pronounce it wrong. Stephanie Ellis bundle with her works The 5 Turns of the Wheel, Paused, and Bottled Up. If you want this giveaway, you email, and the subject line, the code word is Ellis. We have ELLIS. I'm not sure we have the spelling right exactly, but ELLIS. That is our code. So make sure you have, again, the email, buzzbookexpo@gmail.com, code word Ellis in the subject line. In the body, we need your name and a mailing address. Bundle number 2 is an anthology bundle that includes Were Tales, a quaint and curious volume of Gothic tales, Musings of the Muses, Amazing Offer, and Blood in Soil, as well as Terror on the Wind. So that is a hell of a bundle. That's a lot of cool stuff. Remember, send it to buzzbookexpo@gmail.com. Name and address in the body. In the subject line, the code word for this is anthology. Okay, so those are 2 great giveaways. Get them in. We will pick them at random with a number generator and get you your awesome goodies on the way. Thank you so much to all 4 of you for being in the expo this year. We really enjoyed having you, and we hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so now what we have, folks, what I'd like to do is bring in the committee so that we can offer some final thoughts about the expo. If you have any questions, we would like to be able to answer questions. Remember, tag question, because I'm scanning through the comments and I'm listening to the presentations, and it's easier for me to see them if you tag them as questions. So tag any questions, and we have a couple of announcements and things we want to talk about going forward with the Buzz Book Expo and with projects connected to Buzz Book. So Matt, come on around here. I'm going to bring Summer in as well. The lovely Summer Cannon, everyone. Hi, Summer. And Matt is here. So first of all, I want to really thank Summer and Matt. We could not have done this. It is just no way that this would have happened without the hard work that the 2 of them have been putting in for over a year now on making sure that this expo runs smoothly, that everything goes the way it's supposed to, that if there's any kind of technical issues, Matt is on the scene to make sure that everything can happen smoothly. We want to reiterate that the purpose of Buzz Books is to bring together readers and reviewers and podcasters and librarians and booksellers and people who just love horror books with all of the new releases, and make sure that that small press. I mean, admittedly, it has a reach. But it doesn't have as big a reach, say, as people who have the means for wide distribution across the country, across the world, and we want to make sure that we can help the small press, which is an absolute tentpole of this genre, to keep doing what it does and bringing books out to as wide an audience as possible. And I see a quick question. This awesome mural on the wall behind me, this is all Matt Wilderson. We are in Matt Wilderson's office right now.
Dollar store.
And it is a pretty cool. We thought it was very appropriate for a horror expo. So yeah, that's the background. I was like, this is awesome. Summer and Matt are a dynamic duo,
and I think my house can remain.
Yes,
for at least one
you
more
are not.
week.
Yeah, so your house is still standing. So before we get into any kind of announcement, Summer, Matt, what do you guys have to say? People have seen my face enough this weekend, so.
I want to thank everybody who came in to see the show. There'd be no reason to do this if we had nobody coming in and also feeling this. Like, obviously, yes, we want to give everybody as much of a limelight as we can, but at the grand scheme of things, the internet is the internet, and if nobody's watching it on the internet live, then there'd be no real point to do any of it. But I just, I want to thank everybody for their patience, and there was some problems today here and there. But you all that attended, you were fantastic. You didn't have any trouble with anything. You didn't hate that sometimes you saw my desktop wallpaper. I just want to say also, it's heartwarming though to see how many of you enjoyed this stuff, that you went into, for all the book giveaways. I saw Anne won 2 books. So we're gonna have to make sure she can't win anymore. But just the the whole interaction that everybody had, it was fantastic, and we really enjoy that you guys loved everything that we could bring to you guys, and thank you all so much for joining in. Also, I hope you loved my Godzilla cursor.
Yeah,
Anybody else notice that?
What about you, Summer? What would you like to tell the folks?
I just want to thank everybody who attended. I'm the person who coordinated this. I'm the one who's been in touch with the presenters. So I have been emailing them constantly, thanking them for being involved. And I am very thankful, but I'm really thankful for the attendees. I think this year has been the most engaged that we've had the attendees be. We've had a very lively comment section, and that makes me very happy to see we're doing this and asking for nothing in return. And to see people showing up and enjoying it and calling it Book Disneyland, like, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
that was
being
awesome.
here. Thank you for the enthusiasm. And I do want to say real quick, Candace, I saw your comment earlier. If you want to be involved in the Buzz Book Expo in future years, reach out to me. If you know any small presses who you think could use a boost, have them get in touch with me. Have them email at buzzbookexpo@gmail.com, and I can add them to the list. Reviewers, absolutely get in touch with me, and we'll talk, and I'll see how I can involve you next year.
How do we feel these expos have gone?
Horribly. No, I think they're going swell. Like Mary and I had mentioned a couple times, while we were back in the room here when people were giving presentations, that from the first humble year that we did this, we've noticed a good growth in the amount of people that came, the different presenters that we were able to get, the multitude of other things that were, shown for presenting.
Exactly.
Is completely different from previous years that we've done this. And, we have other plans for the future to do with Buzz Book Expo as well, and hopefully there's some other things that neat ingenious things that maybe StreamYard will allow me to do in the next couple years that I wish it would have let me do this year. But technology is technology.
What do you think, Summer? How do you think the expos have gone so far?
I think that we're seeing exponential growth. I think, in terms of engagement, but also in terms of the presenters. We've had people who've done all of the expos so far, and every year their presentations get better. It's really been good to track some of these small presses to see their growth over the years, see how they're improving their skills as a publisher, see how they're improving things like cover art. And it's been a really interesting journey.
I agree. I would say that for me personally, I mean, as Summer and Matt have said, this was a volunteer effort that we put together. The first year, we really didn't know a whole lot about what we were doing. We got some input from Brian Keene and from other people who've put on online shows before, and try to navigate, some of the technical difficulties, and it really has been amazing what people have brought to this expo, especially this year. I mean, just fantastic presentations and book trailers and all kinds of really great, really great content. And it's actually kind of exciting to see all of, first of all, I feel like, we're the cool kids because we're getting all the announcements like before everybody else, but also to see the innovation that's gone into promoting things and packaging things, packaging books. It's really kind of, I think it renews that excitement of being in this genre again, Another question. First of all, I saw another question that Candace had. Yes, we're totally buying the castle with the dungeon and the catacombs and the whole 9 yards. Will all the books that were presented and read from be listed somewhere so we can go and buy and order easily?
Yes, the webpage, buzzbookexpo.com. After the whole expo is done, every presenter gets their own post-presentation write-up where all of the books that they talk about are listed, so it's easier for you to read through. I do this by myself, so I need a little bit of time, but I think a week and a half, they'll all be up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on the Buzz Book subscription?
Get over there! I'm living in a soup of already overworked. No, thank you. Unless we can add more hours into the day.
We would, I mean, realistically, we would have to hire more staff to do that. I don't know that we could. It's a great. I mean, I like the idea. I do. I like the idea, but I don't know that we have the resources at the moment to do it. But it is something. It is for the Buzz Book subscription box. But it is something to keep in mind for the future. That if we find a way to do it in a economically feasible and time management sort of way, it might be something we could do.
I say we get a book cannon.
Like a shirt cannon.
Yeah,
and
we just
shoot people with the books. That might be. Then we'd have to go figure out a way to get insurance and possibly bail money.
Everybody needs to sign a waiver. Just sign a waiver.
The Buzz Book waiver in case in case of accidental injury during the course of the expo, you will not hold us liable.
Yeah, we are not responsible for any concussions said books may cause upon impact to cranium.
Oh, see, that works. That works. Any other questions? Buzz Book Expo box. A one-time box you can buy during the expo. You know what? That might be feasible. You know, I mean, in the course of a giveaway.
Yeah, I have a bunch of Brian Keene books I could throw.
It is something to think about. We'd have to figure out the logistics of it, but it's not a bad idea. You know, sort of a one-time. You know, if you were here at the expo and you saw it, you email and we, like I said, we'd have to work out the logistics. But we're definitely taking notes for things that people would like to see. People would like to, if you have suggestions about what your favorite. I mean, we're all writers, so we have a thick skin, but it's not that thick. We like to hear more about what you love than what you hate. So if you do have ideas about I love this kind of presentation, or I love that kind of presentation, that information does help, because then we can refine the guidelines that we send to publishers about their presentations and that sort of thing. And we can, sort of tailor the expo to be the most efficient way to get information about new books to readers.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'm sorry. Don't mind my pretty drink. It's not an alcoholic drink, I swear. Some things that we'd like to do for the future in the expo. As I said, we are constantly working on refining guidelines to make this as seamlessly as possible, as far as making sure that we have, cover images that you guys can see, and any kind of media, multimedia type things. We are, constantly refining those guidelines to make that more efficient. One thing, folks, that you can do to help us is spread the word. If you know other readers, booksellers, reviewers, librarians, all of these Buzz Book Expo, these entire expos are recorded, and we have them on our YouTube channel. So subscription to the YouTube channel helps, because we can, then I believe YouTube sends reminders, right? Doesn't it?
If you're subscribed, you'll get a reminder.
Exactly.
You also have to do the annoying thing of if you want to make sure you get all things that you put there, there's a little bell icon you have to click. That will actually send you a notification.
Right. So those kinds of things. And I want to echo what Matt and Summer said. We really appreciate the support. We appreciate all the presenters. We really appreciate all the presenters bringing their A game and really offering some fantastic presentations. We appreciate everybody who Joanne suggests interpretive dance. I have the grace of a bull in a china shop. I'm not so sure you want to see me interpret any kind of dance in any kind of way. But it is good to see that you like the readings and the blackout poetry. We do like to hear about what people do like, the covers. I know there's some fastic. That's not a word. How about we back that up and try again? Fantastic.
It's been a long
day. There's extra syllables in there that we're missing. Some fantastic cover art. I have to admit, one of my favorite parts about doing this expo is seeing the trailers, and the ads that people do. I think that they're just awesome. I mean, there's some real creativity happening in there, and more of all. Yeah. To be honest, folks, we have received enough interest that we may be extending the expo slightly. There's a number of publishers that have reached out to us this year to ask to be included next year. So
yeah,
there's definitely that. You guys jump in if you're well, I'm trying to keep up with comments here, but if
well, Mary, usually as things go on, the Ghostwriters podcast,
I take over.
Yeah, I don't. You say so much that you cover everything, and I just sit there going, nah. Mm-hmm.
She can't be stopped. Oh, she's taking a breath. Get a word in. Get a word in.
Doesn't always work.
No, folks, it doesn't. Because sometimes I talk through the breath.
I'm seeing a lot of love for cover artists. Maybe I'll reach out to some cover artists for next year, see if I can get some presentations from artists, because that is an important part of selling the books. And,
I agree.
I'm an author who has done conventions and book selling events, and I can tell you the cover means something. So maybe I'll reach out to a few people. I've got some contact info I can use.
I like that idea. And one of the fascinating things about the expo is that we learned about like just cool packaging and marketing that people are doing in small press. And I'll tell you, having worked with both, small press and some of the New York publishers may have the money to do it, but they're not doing it. It's the small press that are really finding these sort of innovative ways of, actually these innovative ways of presenting horror in a way that it reminds me of like when we were kids and we would, you go to the bookstore and they'd have those like glossy covers with the raised lettering or the cutouts. So that I think is part of what sparks a love of reading books is how they're presented. They're presented as these like cool little packages of something awesome. And I think that's worth acknowledging. Candace mentions, hold on, some formatters too. Maybe people who are doing self-publishing and that kind of thing. So that's a possibility,
We've
right?
talked about this before. We've talked about that, and yeah, that's on our list.
Now, some of the other things, moving forward, that we are doing with the Buzz Book name.
Yes.
We wanted to wait until the expo to bring this up, and especially because we still have a number of thank God we have a number of people who are still listening and still watching the live stream here. Buzz Books is expanding to include what we call Buzz Books, basically, and what Buzz Books is going to be is a curated list of horror fans who, based on free subscription, will have access to free fiction. They will have access to articles about the horror genre and horror writing, about different books that are coming out. They will get a free email newsletter once a month that will tell them about new horror releases. It will tell them about events across the country, possibly across the world, that are featuring horror authors and what those horror authors will have available, including new releases, so that you have an idea if your favorite author is going to be having their new book out, an event near you. We have plans to expand this, but the initial stage, phase one, Marvel Universe phase one of our plan for Buzz Books is to basically offer something kind of like BookBub, but specifically for horror writers, or for horror readers. I mean, for people who are interested in horror fiction, we are going to be covering, writers in the small press and, writers in New York publishing, self-published writers, people who are putting out all the best horror. This subscription-based list will bring you information about all of that. And it will bring you all kinds of swag and goodies that you cannot get unless you are a member, a subscribing member. So one of the things that we It is not going live for a few months yet. We still have some things to iron out. We have some things to work out, some details that we want to, make sure are absolutely working and up and running before we get this thing live. However, if you are interested and you want to be put on the list, can they go now to the website, Summer? Can they subscribe now?
Let me see.
I mean, ideally, what we would like to do is, get people into the system. One of the things we're working out is like all of the technical end of the website, where you will be able to access the newsletter, a calendar of events, a lot of the things that you can get in the newsletter, but you will be able to access it from the website as well. We really hope that you will consider subscribing. It is free. Subscription for readers is free.
You can subscribe now. The website is buzzbooks.org. You will find that you can, it's called Reader Subscribers. That is the level you would want to get to.
Right.
And you're basically being signed up for a newsletter at this point. But what we're trying to do is, it seems sometimes that you have to be a member of so many different Facebook groups to be able to get information on new releases. If you're just doing it on Twitter, it's a nightmare because you miss so many. This is the condensed place where we're going to do our best to get as much new release news, convention news, appearance news, anything we can think of that might interest readers in one place, so that you're not having to look everywhere for the new release from this author or the newest release from this publisher. So we're trying to condense everything so you can find almost everything you need in this one place.
Yep. Exactly. And in addition to that, in addition to all the information that we would like to furnish you with, there will be, for subscribers, the occasional free thing. Like currently, there is a short story of mine up there that I am pretty sure has never been published anywhere. Nobody's ever seen it. It's brand new. There are some. We're going to be adding more content like that as we go. I had another thought. Eventually we hope to, offer coupons for, writers maybe having a special sale that you can only get as a subscriber, things like that. We want it to be, as absolutely reader friendly and connecting readers to the authors they love and vice versa, authors to the readers that they love, as possible. Do you have anything to add about that?
If this thing goes the way we're hoping it's going, we have tons of cool ideas for perks and stuff down the road. So
we do. We have some big plans for it.
Tell your friends and have your friends tell their friends.
Absolutely. At this point, the one of the things I'm seeing a number of people saying they subscribe. Thank you.
Yes, thank
you.
We
really appreciate it. If you subscribe, if you can encourage other readers, reviewers, like I said, booksellers, podcasters, anybody who loves books, other writers, anybody who wants to, have access to this information, to be a part of the subscription base, we'd really appreciate you just letting them know, encouraging them to subscribe. We're hoping for big things. We think that we do, like Matt said, we have a number of plans in the works for expanding it and for doing cool things related to the Buzz Books umbrella. The expo, of course, will continue, and it will be a part of Buzz Books in general. It is another thing that we're offering. We are hoping to offer video content specifically for subscribers. In the interest of, again, connecting readers to horror works that they will love, the expo is part of this Buzz Books umbrella now. So
get as many people in as you can.
Yes.
Because I also have my own fantastic idea I want for this, but I have to be able to get it there to, entice these two to believe in this vision I have.
So yes, we really appreciate all the support. We appreciate you guys coming out, and we appreciate everybody in the comments who's subscribing.
We couldn't do any of these expos without all of you guys being here, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Summer, you have anything else to add about Buzz Books or the Buzz Book Expo?
Just keep your eye on our social media. Make sure you're following the Buzz Book Expo Twitter account. That's where all the news will be coming through. And in the coming week and a half, it really shouldn't take longer than that. Every presenter will have their own presentation right up on the website. So you'll be able to go through and see what books they have coming out. And if there are links available, I'll put them. But we have a lot of like upcoming releases that I can't link yet. But that is also something that is in the works. So just hang with us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being enthusiastic and talking with us, because this has been a great year for the expo. And it would
I agree.
about all of you.
And just in case everybody's curious, the Twitter handle is @books_buzz.
@books_buzz.
Yep.
Okay.
Because there are multiple Buzz books.
Oh, right. Yes.
that have a Twitter handle. We want you to go to the right one.
It's because of BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed like took them all, and this was the closest one I could get.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. Well, thank you again for your participation, for the lively comments, for sticking with us for 2 days to the stream. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
And on behalf of the committee here, we'll see you again next year.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.